for Qingmang. She turned around to respond, "This matter involves too much karma, it cannot be spoken of directly. As for the one seeking revenge." Tin Quan quickly disappeared, but not before leaving him a name, Luo Kumo. Only a faint trace of energy remained in the space. Hanju stood quietly, as if in a state of stagnation. He thought to himself, "Luo Kumo, huh? You wait for me." Hanju opened the secret manual to search for the name, and it recorded many names. Some names had already been crossed out, Mo Wu Ling, Zhu Kei, Zhu Yen Dao Ren, Luo Kumo. 3 years later, Kong Zi was holding a book, his mouth wide open. He shouted in shock, "What? Tribulation, Elder Han has broken through the major barrier." At the entrance of Hanju's cultivation cave, a plaque reading "New Home Good Luck" was hung. Kong Zi was busy with some trivial matters. Hanju asked him, "By the way, Sect Master, do you know any suitable place for crossing the tribulation recently? Preferably somewhere without disturbance, within 100 miles. He thought for a moment, muttering to himself, "According to the records of the 6 paths of reincarnation technique, the tribulation time for the tribulation stage is a multiple of the merging stage, and its power increases exponentially." Hanju fell into deep thought, the 9th layer of merging stage completion. If I go to the 10,000 demon realm, this time, I might destroy it. I need to find a safe place to cross the tribulation, no more delays. After thinking for a moment, Kong Zi finally remembered, actually, there's a place. It rains heavily every year, and many poisonous insects and demon beasts grow there. Very few cultivators go there. He pointed to the distance and said, "It's on the plain east of Yuqing sect, or I can take you there." Hanju looked at the direction of Kong Zi's finger and nodded in agreement, "All right." 2 golden auras flew swiftly across the sky, and everyone in Tiandong looked up. Rongqi asked in confusion, "Why did the ancestor and sect master leave?" The prison chicken didn't care about Rongqi's question and answered coldly, "They must be about to break through. Master's breakthrough speed in higher realms is faster than your low realms, what's wrong with you?" These words pierced the pride of Rongqi, Tiandong, and Chang'an. Tiandong turned red with anger and shouted, "You still have the nerve to talk, I bet you haven't broken through either." The prison chicken lowered its head, looking at Tiandong with a bead-like gaze, arrogantly saying, "What's wrong?" The chicken family's cultivation is higher than yours. Tiandong retorted, "So what, you break through slowly?" The prison chicken replied, "Even if I break through slowly, my realm is still higher than yours." Tiandong was left speechless, With no place to vent, he punched the prison chicken's stomach. The prison chicken didn't scold him but instead said something that made him even more enraged, "You're scratching my itchy spot." Chang'an and Rongqi didn't care too much and casually walked toward the distance with a net. Chang'an spoke, "Let's go fishing." He sighed inwardly, thinking that the master's subordinates, a chicken and a dog, were both particularly itchy. On the plains east of the Yuqing sacred sect, the wind and sand swept through. Hanju and Kong Zi stood on the clouds, talking. He said to Kong Zi, "Sect master, you should go back first. My tribulation might cause quite a disturbance." Kong Zi, hands clasped behind his back, looked at the endless plain ahead. He asked, "Don't you need me to guard you?" Hanju didn't want him to be involved, so he said, "The enemies might come to disturb my tribulation, and you won't be able to stop them." Kong Zi really wanted to guard him, but upon hearing this, he could only helplessly say, "Because your enemies are not only powerful, but there are many of them." Kong Zi frowned, "This makes sense. Farewell." Kong Zi left quickly, and Hanju looked up at the sky, thoughts running through his mind. With the spiritual treasures on me and my own strength, it's almost impossible to die in the tribulation, unless someone takes the opportunity to ambush me. The air shimmered with the aura of the tribulation, and Hanju realized, the tribulation is here. Suddenly, a light exploded in space, and the tribulation began to spread in the air. Looking at everything before him, Hanju felt uneasy. "I feel like I've forgotten something." Everything is ready, but something doesn't feel right. He stood in the air, facing the raging heavenly thunder. At this moment, Hanju suddenly remembered something very important, his heart filled with fear, burning like fire. He grabbed his arm. Damn. I forgot the Taoist robes of Yuqing sect. The tribulation realm is primarily based on the penetrating power of attacks, and even clothes from hundreds of years ago can't withstand it. A bolt of heavenly lightning struck, tearing his clothes into rags, exposing his upper body. He secretly complained, "Why is the golden soft divine armor transparent?" A flash of lightning struck directly at the ground, instantly causing the ground to crack, and stones flew everywhere. Soon, a month passed, and a system notification appeared on the screen. You have successfully broken through to the tribulation realm. You can choose 1. Prepare for ascension to the 3 realms, and you will receive a spiritual treasure and a heavenly Tao spirit stone. 2. Continue cultivating to challenge the great ascension realm, and you will receive a spiritual treasure and inherit a divine power. Hanju thought deeply, can I choose clothes? Apart from spiritual treasures, everything else has been destroyed. What should I do? How will I go back? After a moment of hesitation, he chose the second option on the system. Hanju thought to himself, although the tribulation realm can ascend, now is not the time. Those 2 Zhuke and Zhu Yen Taoists are still waiting for me in the sky. Ascending now would be asking for death. The system's voice sounded, you have chosen to continue cultivating to challenge the great ascension realm, and you will inherit a divine power. The screen displayed the notification, congratulations, you have obtained the Tai spiritual treasure. Golden soft inner armor. The system explained, the golden soft inner armor is a defensive spiritual treasure of the 8th rank Tai. It is highly flexible and has an extremely strong defense. The system's voice sounded again, congratulations, you have obtained the divine power gathering the universe, which allows the sleeve of the robe to absorb the yin-yang of all things in the heavens and earth. Han Ju said proudly, this is truly timely. I don't have to go back to the sect with my butt exposed anymore. And it's a defensive spiritual treasure of the 8th rank. The system truly understands me. The screen displayed, the way of ascension depends on personal luck, activating the heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao can help you ascend to the upper world. The reincarnation method depends on activating the reincarnation power. To activate the heavenly Tao. Hanju was puzzled, has the 6 paths of reincarnation method been updated? Interesting, not only can I go to the upper world, but I can also go to the Yin realm and other extinct places. This should be related to the reincarnation sword immortal path I previously chose. No matter which world it is, for now, I don't need to go. Better to be a chicken head than a phoenix tail. Who knows how much my lifespan will increase. While thinking, the system screen immediately displayed his personal information. Tribulation realm, first layer, attributes related to offense and defense. Hanju's Fate 478/109000200. Human phase, transcended mortal, 6-element spiritual root including top-tier wind, fire, water, earth, wood, and lightning, increased luck, peerless innate luck, divine sword chi body method, descendant of the immortal Emperor. Hanju shouted in shock, 10,900 years of lifespan? His cultivation method also appeared, 6 paths of reincarnation method, capable of passing down spells, divine sword techniques. 7-step illusionary footwork, 3-star shadowless sword, peerless, 9 dragons demon sealing seal, great thunderstorm, wind god. Technique, soul recovery technique, divine power 6 paths soul absorption, Tianchu ghost god sword, law of heaven and earth. This information exploded in Hanju's mind, this is just the tribulation realm, and it's so unreasonable. Once I break through to the great ascension realm, my lifespan will be on par with the heavens and earth. I must strive to reach the great ascension as soon as possible. His goal became firmer, and a smug smile appeared on his lips. Hanju had already put on the golden soft inner armor. He stood in the air, surveying the surroundings. Under the heavenly tribulation, everything was destroyed, even the mountains were flattened. I didn't expect the destruction range of the tribulation realm to be so vast. No wonder the great sage Qing Mang wanted to occupy most of ancient Yuan continent. Suddenly, he widened his eyes and looked to the other side. An alert sounded in his mind. Wait, how could there be a living creature below the tribulation realm? No living being could withstand the lightning tribulation for a month. Hanju activated his divine sense, scanning the surrounding area and locking onto the target. As he got closer, he discovered that it was a young boy trembling in fear, surrounded by lush grass. He sighed. Inwardly, not only is this a person, but even the surrounding flowers and grass haven't been destroyed. This person is no simple matter. Could he be trying to take advantage of the tribulation to ambush me? Hanju flew in front of the young boy, his hands behind his back, exuding an extraordinary demeanor. He asked, "What do you want to do here?" "Where I am undergoing the tribulation." The boy, upon seeing him, said in surprise, his voice trembling, "Is the heavenly tribulation over?" The boy cupped his face, his eyes full of mist, his heart uneasy. I'm still alive. Thank heaven. Hanju's mind was in shock, and a thought suddenly erupted, cultivation at the chi refining realm, yet completely unaffected by the tribulation. How did he manage that? Not even a scratch? The system detected a person with extraordinary innate luck. Do you want to check his background? Soon, the screen displayed the boy's information. Feng Liang, Chi Refining Realm 3rd Layer, Child of Heaven and Earth. Born of the world's luck, protected by the heavens and earth. Due to the vast luck, his body and soul cannot bear it. Once he breaks through to the Golden Core realm, the luck of heaven and earth will soar and become unstoppable. Hanju tilted his head, looking at Feng Liang, observing carefully. He then turned his head to look at the system screen. Afterward, he glanced back at Feng Liang, leaving the boy confused. At this moment, he was stunned, his expression becoming one of disbelief. Hanju never expected that the person before him was a young boy, and he exclaimed in surprise. Feng Liang raised his innocent big eyes to look at Hanju, his face pale, his expression full of self-blame. The child spoke. Junior has no intention of disturbing Senior during the tribulation. I apologize. Hanju, however, was shouting in his heart, Child of heaven and earth, what is this? Is he the protagonist of this world? Hanju displayed an old appearance, his long nose wrinkling, his face dark as he asked, Your cultivation is so weak, how did you end up here? Feng Liang knelt on the ground, his tone respectful, I am a loose cultivator. I originally wanted to join the Yuqing sacred sect, but I got lost and happened to end up here. Hanju was surprised by this action. Looking at Feng Liang, he fell into thought, to be trapped in the tribulation for so long and still nothing happened? His luck is truly against the heavens. Returning to his usual charismatic self, Hanju looked at the trembling Feng Liang and couldn't help but feel helpless. With this kind of personality, being the child of heaven and earth, how can he be so weak? Forget it, let's form a good relationship. A token fell in front of Feng Liang, and the child was amazed as he looked at the object on the ground. The token had the words God Slayer engraved on it. A surprised voice echoed in the space, Isn't this the legendary elder of the Yuqing sacred sect, the God Slayer? Hanju disappeared into the air, leaving only a trace of spiritual energy. Feng Liang shouted, Senior. Han. Ju's voice echoed, This meeting is destined. You can take this token when you join the Yuqing sacred sect. Hanju evaluated Feng Liang in his heart. Although the child of heaven and earth has great potential, I am not inferior to him. Who knows who will become an immortal first? The system reminded, Feng Liang has developed a good impression of you. Current favorability is 4 stars. Hanju looked up at the system panel. This kid is sharp, he can get guidance from a strong one so easily, it's no wonder he looks up to me. Hanju walked out of the cave, and the grass at the ground was waiting outside. Upon seeing him, the little girl called out, Master. You're back, I haven't heard from you for so long, I almost got worried to death. He walked up to the little girl, and the grass tightly hugged his arm. Seeing this, Hanju comforted her, it's fine. The tribulation just took a little longer. How's your cultivation going? The little girl, still holding his arm, did not forget to answer, 8th layer of the Qi refining realm. Hanju looked at the grass with some appreciation, not bad. Is there anything else? The little girl looked up at him with big, cute eyes and began to talk about her cultivation experiences. Well, during cultivation, some memories from different places always appear in my mind. The little girl seemed unsure. It seems like a set of cultivation techniques. He sat down and poured a cup of tea. Hanju gently closed his eyes and said to the grass, since you once followed immortals, to comprehend the Tao, knowing cultivation techniques is not unusual. The little girl, upon hearing her master's words, agreed, yes. I've lost so many memories, but I still remember some things. It seems like something, like a... As he drank tea, he listened to the grass's story. A speck of dust can fill the sea, a blade of grass can cut the sun and moon's spirit. Master, you see, isn't this implying that I should take the sword cultivator's path? Hanju felt somewhat helpless but remained silent. On the wall of Hanju's cave, the writing was very clear. A voice echoed in the space, 8 times out of 10, if something's wrong, tell me immediately, bear with it for a while, and the world is vast. At the Yuqing sacred sect, since the great sage Qing Meng died at Yuqing, cultivators from all over the world admired his name and came, and the sect's incense remained unbroken. People came and went, lining up from outside to the inside. A loud shout reminded everyone, if you wish to join our sect, please go to the right side, bring all required documents and identity copies. Remember. Remember. The shout continued, warning everyone to be cautious. Please keep your valuable items, such as weapons, techniques, and pills safe. We are not responsible for any loss. Feng Liang sweated, awkwardly, looking at the crowd ahead. The child sighed, there are so many people. How long will I have to wait? Standing in the middle of the crowd, the child began to feel confused and scared. Feng Liang blamed himself. I was too nervous that day and forgot to introduce myself. How can I find the senior now? Do they still remember me? He thought, they should know where the senior is, right? At the Yuqing sacred sect's Q area, the monk holding the loudspeaker was loudly reminding, no cutting in line, the path of cultivation is difficult and dangerous. If you won't even follow the small rule of lining up, then get lost. Wu Gang, with his arms crossed, noticed Feng Liang approaching with a bundle on his back. The child asked him, Sir, may I ask, I was summoned by a senior of your sect? Wu Gang's face showed displeasure, and he sneered inwardly, another one trying to use connections to get in. He spoke to Feng Liang in a sarcastic tone, stop dreaming, rules are rules, no one can change them. Even if the sect master nominates you, it won't work. Please queue up. The child raised the God Slayer Elder's token to show him, looking somewhat dejected, unsure of what to do. Feng Liang asked Wu Gang, isn't this token enough? The prison chicken, Rong Qi, Chang'an, and Tiandong all looked at the token in surprise. Wu Gang, quick as lightning, used sword energy to send the child to Hanju. Wu Gang's attitude changed instantly, and he immediately raised both hands above his head, making a gesture of affection and cuteness. He said to Hanju, he's delivered to you. I'll take my leave now. Feng Liang looked at Wu Gang, confused by his intentions. Tiandong excitedly stood next to the child, his eyes sparkling with curiosity, and said sweet words, little sister, may I ask what your name is? Feng Liang blinked and then introduced his name, my name is Feng Liang, Feng for upright, Liang for beautiful. Rong Qi, Chang'an, and Tiandong all collapsed at Feng Liang's words and blink. The prison chicken gave a subtle compliment, elegant and refined. A gentleman seeks knowledge. Tiandong, with his hands crossed over his chest, eyes sparkling, also praised, like a spring breeze, so refreshing. Hanju walked past these people and left a sentence that left everyone petrified. He's a man, let's start the meeting. Feng Liang watched everyone start the meeting, confused. The prison chicken, with its fat body, blocked everyone's view. It said in surprise, what? Did the master not bring anyone with him? Tiandong seemed dissatisfied. Are we just handing him over like this? Chang'an pointed to himself and asked Hanju, me. Take disciples? Hanju explained, I still need to cultivate, but Zun Chang'an is different. He looked at Chang'an seriously and said, Chang'an, your physique is like passive cultivation. You can improve at any time without even cultivating. You're the best choice to take in disciples, and it won't delay your cultivation. Chang'an still hesitated, this matter. Tiandong angrily shouted at Chang'an, are you worried that your disciple won't catch up to your cultivation, just like Morong Chi who didn't dare take disciples because he was afraid of losing face? He lowered his head and proactively recommended himself to Hanju. How about this, master, if Chang'an refuses to take disciples, let me do it. Chang'an poured cold water from behind, stop daydreaming. Hanju gave Tiandong a bullet-like stare and mercilessly scolded him, if you're allowed to take disciples, you'll probably end up having to be adopted by another demon king. Upon hearing this, Tiandong's face turned gray, and his expression lost its naturalness. Feng Liang widened his eyes in surprise and asked, did he agree to take me as a disciple? Tiandong put his hand on Chang'an's shoulder and solemnly introduced the child. He's a bit worried, but he's not bad-hearted. A good man is hard to find, and his teaching skills are nothing to worry about. Upon hearing these empty words, Chang'an's face darkened, and he gritted his teeth and said, Tiandong, can you leave? The child raised his hand to cover his mouth, and with the other hand pointed in Hanju's direction. The child said in confusion, I thought the token given by Elder God Slayer meant he wanted to take disciples. Hanju also admitted that this was indeed the intention. He looked at Feng Liang very seriously and said, according to your current cultivation, if you have questions, everyone can answer them. When your cultivation improves and they can't, I will personally teach you. After all, taking disciples within the same sect is no different. The child understood Hanju's words and quickly agreed. Feng Liang said firmly, okay. The child knelt before Chang and put his hands together and said to the child, Feng Liang, from now on, you will be my second disciple. Feng Liang respectfully responded, yes, master. They began to get to know each other and relax. Chang'an reminded Feng Liang, from now on, if you don't understand anything, you can ask your senior brother. He knows more than I do. Tiandong smiled and said, you can also ask your senior uncle. The child agreed. Rongqi mocked Tiandong, you? Teach him to become an adopted son? Hanju watched them chat amiably and thought to himself, in the blink of an eye, I already have this many disciples. Speaking of the eldest disciple, Tiandong is from the demon saint bloodline. The second disciple Su Qi is a reincarnation of a heavenly realm figure. The third disciple, Zun Chang'an, is a reincarnation of an ancient spiritual ginseng from the upper world, the great ancestor. Murong Qi is a reincarnation of the god of war from the divine palace, with the title of true god emperor, the second ancestor. Feng Liang is the child of heaven and earth, a reincarnation of the black prison chicken, originally a black-eyed phoenix. The chaos celestial dog is a divine beast of fate, and the only female figure is the heavenly grass, capable of becoming an immortal god. Hanju smiled, feeling full of fortune. The future can wait. He thought, I'll wait for them to grow before ascending, or let them ascend to the heavenly realm first, and then support me. Hanju stood in the sunset, snorting coldly, what am I thinking? Waiting for them to cultivate and ascend, I don't even know how long it will take. Perhaps He shouted, Chang'an, teach him the Yuqing formula and have him first cultivate to the golden core stage. Don't let him leave the mountain. Chang'an lowered his head and respectfully replied, yes, master. Feng Liang joyfully shouted, can I still leave the sect now? Rongqi also spoke up, don't worry, you're almost at the golden core stage. A few years later, the ceremony continued. The 9 cauldrons' true monarch returned and held a ceremony for the transfer of authority. The elder stroked his beard, his demeanor full of grandeur. Everyone discussed in excitement, wow. Yu Er was walking toward the center, shouting, Master. Senior brother. I'm back. Kong Zi was talking to the 9 cauldrons' true monarch, ancestor, you're finally back. How was life at the overseas sect? He snorted coldly, overseas isn't easy. Yu Er looked around, then exclaimed, where is everyone? She asked Kong Zi, elderly. Is my master not here? He answered in surprise, she Quan immortal, she must be in closed-door cultivation recently, in Elder Han's cave. Yu Er thought fearfully, she Quan immortal is in Elder Han's cave. She was also silently screaming, it's over. It's over. I calculated everything, but I forgot about Master. The scene of Hanju and Master being intimate appeared in her mind. Yu Er hurriedly said, Junior brother is cold to everyone, but always shows a smile to Master. He even rejected Hong Quan, MISU, and me before. It turns out it's because he likes Master. She shouted loudly, Qing Zi. He looked at her in surprise, and Yu Er continued, when did my junior brother go to Master? Qing Zi appeared confused and said, it was before morning. Why? Is there something urgent? He continued, if it's urgent, I happen to have some luggage and a package to deliver. I can drop you off on the way. Yu Er was shocked and said, luggage? Are you planning to stay at junior brother's place? Qing Zi confirmed, yes. The package has the seller's promise, delivered secretly. He revealed, I stayed in Elder Han's cave not long ago. Yu Er's eyes lit up when she heard this, thinking to herself, are both men there? Then there's no big problem. Then she asked in confusion, do you open a cave like that too, Master? Qing Zi coldly replied, yes. What's the problem? Yu Er, slightly panicked, explained, no, I was just asking. Wu Gang, who was nearby, immediately questioned, senior brother. Why did you buy a doll? Qing Zi stammered. In surprise, what do you mean you know? Yu Er secretly laughed and thought, what's this? Looks like I overthought it. Junior brother isn't so easily moved. How embarrassing. I've been worrying for nothing. She thought to herself that junior brother and the master had a good relationship, and it made sense that they would respond to each other, together. Suddenly, she thought of the scene where Hanju and Qing Zi took a bath together, and she muttered to herself. Wait. With junior brother's personality, he wouldn't allow anyone to touch his spiritual energy, unless. Upon thinking this, Yu Er furrowed her brows, nervously thinking, no, this is a bigger problem. A voice came from in front of a white mountain, long time no see, junior brother. Hanju broke into a cold sweat and said, it's obvious that your life overseas hasn't been easy. Your cultivation has been stuck at the 9th level of the golden core for quite some time, right? Yu Er immediately interrupted him, saying, don't bring it up. When it comes to promotion speed, how can I compare to junior brother? Hanju avoided the topic, you flatter me. Let's sit down and talk. Yu Er didn't let him off, saying, answer me one question first. She said with an expressionless face, Master has spent his whole life cultivating, rarely appearing with others. He should never leave. Yu Wu Peak. Junior brother. How did you convince Master to come? Was it Master's will, or do you not care about Master at all? Hanju was left speechless upon hearing these words, and he could only blurt out, huh? After Hanju explained, Yu Er finally put her doubts to rest. She suddenly realized, so that's how it is. Are the other caves the same? Hanju replied, something like that. Yu Er laughed loudly, the spiritual energy here isn't as strong as before. Master is lucky to have you. To transform into a god. Hanju calmly said, the sect master's time is running out. Arranging a cave for him is just to buy a bit of time. He thought to himself, I'll slowly tell her about Hong Quan later. At this point, Yu lowered her head and sighed. It seems that junior brother's choice might be right. Cultivating diligently seems safer. Hanju asked, why do you say that? Did you practice overseas? Yu revealed some information. That's right. The cost of this cultivation has been too high. There were over 500 of us when we set out, and now only a little more than 60 have returned. The overseas sects aren't as stable as expected, and their enemies are more cunning than the cultivators of Dian. As for the so-called opportunities, don't even mention it. Hanju couldn't help but ask, what about senior sister? Yu comforted him, it's fine. I've been in seclusion in the sect. And I'm doing okay. It's just that some of the senior brothers who went out for cultivation have unfortunately been injured. Upon hearing this, Hanju furrowed his brows, thinking, thankfully, I didn't follow the patriarch out. If I had gone overseas, I would have been constantly in trouble, and my cultivation wouldn't be as high as it is now. Their conversation continued. Yu was filled with questions in her heart. So many sacrifices for cultivation, what's the meaning of it? What is cultivation really for? I suddenly feel a little lost. Hanju replied, in the end, it's for survival. To live is not wrong. It's always been two paths. Once you step into cultivation, your fate is set by the heavens. Yu continued, even so, after cultivating overseas for so long, I feel like I haven't made any progress. These years really feel like a waste. Hanju praised and comforted her. Senior sister's talent is actually very good. You shouldn't have been stuck at the golden core stage for so long. Could it be that your cultivation isn't pure enough? Yu asked him, what do you mean? After talking for a long time, Elder Han finally spoke. Elder Han, the patriarch has returned today, and the banquet is ready at the Tuasha building. I wonder if it's convenient for you to appear. Hanju leaned on the table and replied, just once, I was planning to reminisce with the patriarch. Yu said. Unhappily, senior brother, really, we haven't finished talking yet. Kong Zi just stood there, sneaking a laugh. He suddenly spoke up, I just remembered, Master isn't at Yue Peak, senior sister doesn't need to go there. It's fine if you just come here. Hanju frowned and said, how about you also move here to cultivate? It would work well with Master, what do you think? Yu was stunned when she heard this and couldn't say anything, stammering, this matter. Hanju didn't wait for her to continue, then senior sister, go back with senior brother Chang to pack, and I'll get your cave ready. Yu immediately agreed, okay. He asked her, it's getting late, aren't you going to pay respects to Master? She hurriedly said, I forgot. Yu laughed joyfully, it's good that Master is fine. The scene shifts to a place filled with dead bodies. Su Qi walked to a spot, panting heavily. He turned around and said, Dooku, Senior. Although I'm very grateful for your help along the way, you're already at the crossing tribulation realm. Why haven't you ascended yet? A person on a high platform spoke, the demon-slaying sect has been destroyed, and I feel regret. If I were to ascend, I would inevitably face a calamity of the heart demons. Su Qi asked in confusion, no way? Dooku, in a tattered state, said, boy. Why don't you take me as your master and help me get rid of the obsession in my heart? It would also leave a spark for the demon-slaying sect. Su Qi's face darkened as he thought, this guy still hasn't given up. Without thinking much, he immediately suggested, Senior. I already have a master. If you're eager to take a disciple, I could help you find one on the way. Dooku said in disappointment, sigh. If you don't agree, forget it, I won't force you. Su Qi immediately interjected, but this is the 27th time this month you've asked to take me as your disciple. He suddenly said, Su Qi, hide behind me. The boy asked in surprise, huh? What's going on? There was no time to explain, and Dooku hurriedly responded, Ball Demon, you've been eyeing my disciple for so long, what exactly is your intention? The Ball Demon coldly replied, your disciple. I remember that kid is the Demon Lord's disciple. He was surprised and said, the Demon Lord. No wonder you've always disagreed with me. It turns out this kid's master has such a background. Suchi was also surprised and thought, huh? When did I become the Demon Lord's disciple? He threatened Dooku, if you want to ascend, then let go. I need to take this kid away. Suchi directly asked the ball demon, why are you looking for me? Did the Demon Lord send you to pick me up? He coldly said, not exactly, but I can guarantee you a great opportunity. Dooku's face darkened as he thought, agreeing is not an option, rejecting is not an option. The ball demon has been famous for many years, and his cultivation is at least at the Great Ascension stage. There's no way to match him. At this moment, Suchi spoke up, Senior, you should leave. He was surprised and said, Suchi, The boy didn't listen to the explanation, thank you for your care during this time, but I don't want to put you in a difficult position. Suchi coldly said, Dooku, if you really want to resolve the demon-slaying sect's grudge, then go serve the Yuling sect for a while. After I leave Yuling sect, I'll join the demon-slaying sect. Yuling sect is my hometown. Looking at the token in his hand, Dooku couldn't believe it, you. He coldly said, what else do you want? The ball demon was filled with rage, what kind of logic is this? How is resolving a grudge related to serving others? Suchi impatiently replied, isn't there enough disciples for you to take at the entire Yuling sect? Kwama heard the conversation between the two, and his heart was filled with surprise. Huh? Yuling sect. He thought, the shooting master who killed my master seems to be from Yuling sect. Is this a coincidence? Suchi shouted loudly, how many misfortunes have we encountered on the way? Can't you count them in your heart? Do. Ku also responded unwillingly, hey. No, I just think these small things, you wouldn't think it's me causing trouble. Right? Suchi said unhappily, I don't even know where I went. We're about the same, maybe it's better to separate. Suchi continued, Senior Dooku, don't forget you're about to ascend, I don't want to bring more trouble to you. He suddenly changed his tone. I don't care. Suchi said seriously, to be honest, although we haven't spent much time together, I will never forget you for my whole life. At this point, Suchi lowered his gaze, his eyes filled with sadness, apart from my master, you're the person who has been with me the longest. Although we encountered many misfortunes, your mindset has always been good. If we go back to Yuling sect together, Master will definitely thank you for your help in ascending. But now, I'm afraid you'll have to visit Yuling sect alone. Dooku, confused, interjected, wait. Isn't your master the Demon Lord? Suchi waved his hand, just in name. My real master is the God Slayer Elder of Yuling sect. That person is extremely powerful. Even after traveling for many years, he has never encountered someone with a similar aura to my master. He was surprised. Really? That's worth paying respects to. Suchi confirmed again, then reminded, by the way, remember to greet him from a distance when we reach the entrance, or he might mistake it for an ambush. Don't worry, Senior. Just mention your name, and my master won't make things difficult for you. Do. Ku responded softly, all right. He walked but didn't forget to turn back to Suchi and say, then I'll send my regards to the God Slayer Elder on your behalf. Suchi waved his hand in response, thank you. Suchi then turned to Kwama and asked, Senior Kwama, right? Please lead me. Suchi's gaze was determined as he looked straight at him, and he said confidently, this is Kwama. Kwama was sweating profusely, thinking, why do I suddenly feel a chill? The waves crashed violently against the rocks. A towering mountain peak appeared in the rugged terrain. Zhou Fan spoke, this is the ancestral land of the three major sects nearby. In the scene, Zhou Fan, Mo Fujio, and Xian Shishir were walking through a dim canyon with huge ships behind them. Zhou Fan continued, but now it seems, there's nothing special. Mo Fujio, sitting beside him, couldn't help but ask, isn't it bad for us to sneak in like this? Zhou Fan casually replied, what's wrong with that? Seeking fortuitous encounters is the most basic cultivation for us cultivators. A bloody skull appeared in front of them. There were two other terrifying-looking skulls nearby. Xian Shishir trembled when she saw this. This place is full of weird things. It's better to be cautious. Zhou Fan also felt uneasy. All right. But Mo, don't you think the pattern here looks similar to the one on your body when you were cultivating? Fu Jiu, seeing this, tried placing his hand on the pattern and channeled his energy. It indeed looks similar. Suddenly, purple light appeared in several places on the pattern, suddenly appearing in front of the three, surprising them. Then, a powerful air current erupted from the patterns. Xian Shishir immediately shouted, "Be careful." Mo Fujio didn't have time to react, and he looked in horror as the purple beam pierced through his arm. He froze immediately and blurted out, "What is that?" Zhou Fan quickly sensed that something was wrong and rushed over shouting, "Mo." Xian Shishir also hurried over. At that moment, Mo Fujio was caught by the purple force, and suddenly, the ground and rocks exploded due to the strange power of the purple light. Zhou Fan realized the situation was dire, filled with panic. Mo Fujio was now even more unstable, his eyes turning red. It was Xian Shishir who remained the calmest, decisively grabbing Fujio's clothes and saying, "This relic has a problem, we must leave quickly." The three of them quickly left the strange relic. Things seemed far from stabilized, and Fujio's arm was once again caught by that purple force. This made him scream in pain. Zhou Fan saw this and loudly comforted him, saying, "Ma brother, hold on." Xian Shishir gritted her teeth, afraid. Suddenly, that purple force seemed to be provoked, charging toward Zhou Fan and the others like lightning. Everything became even more chaotic, and the clothes Xian Shishir was holding onto were torn. Seeing this, Xian Shishir fearfully looked back. Zhou Fan, being pulled behind, watched helplessly as Fujio was dragged away by the purple force, screaming in desperation, "Ma brother! Ma brother!" His eyes turned wild. Fujio reached out trying to grab something, but he had already been consumed by the force. Only his hands were desperately struggling, emitting painful screams. The scene outside was filled only with dust flying in the air. Zhou Fan, nearly going mad with anxiety, continued shouting, "Ma brother! Ma brother!" Xian Shishir remained calm, holding him tightly. Zhou Fan still didn't care, shouting desperately, "Let go of me, he's still over there." Xian Shishir held him and advised, "We need to think of ourselves first. The owner of the relic has arrived." Upon hearing this, Zhou Fan's eyes widened in fear. Just then, two massive ships appeared above their heads. A threatening voice rang out, "Trinity Realm? You've really stepped into a big mess." Strange-looking beasts were flying nearby, accompanying the large ships. The ship with the giant sail. A terrifying monster, with the head of an octopus, its eyes full of rage, spat out unspeakable words. Zhou Fan, terrified, stepped forward and asked in panic, "Xian Shishir, what are they saying?" Xian Shishir, equally confused, responded, "I don't know, but it's definitely not good." Then, a terrifying monster extended a raised arm from a giant shell, pointing forward. Instantly, beams of light shot out at incredible speed. Xian Shishir, sensing the danger, said, "In addition to the Trinity Realm, there are some in the core formation realm, and more than two in the nascent soul realm. Those in the golden core realm don't count. Luckily, there's no one in the void refining realm." She quickly charged towards the huge monster with an enormous mouth filled with thousands of teeth, telling Zhou Fan, "I'll deal with these 3. Hold the others off as best you can." Zhou Fan replied in sync, "Understood." He immediately earned Xian Shishir's praise, "Well done." She didn't delay, immediately engaging in fierce combat with the monsters, severing the tail of one and splattering blood all over the ground. Using the momentum, she jumped up. Xian Shishir made a powerful leap, charging into the group of monsters waiting to attack. On the other side, Zhou Fan was also fighting with all his might. He struck several monsters, blood splattering, shouting, "Get away! Why are you still chasing me?" But he couldn't fight for long before a sharp vortex pierced his body, causing him to spit out blood. Above, a monster riding a large fish charged toward Zhao Fan with a storm-like attack. Although he had just been injured, he still stubbornly cursed, "That hole wasn't made by me." The monsters still didn't let the two of them off, cursing in a strange language as they surged toward them. Zhao Fan finally lost his temper completely, his face pale and his eyes bloodshot. "You forced me." Then he shouted, "Activate Body of Dominance." Immediately, a huge sound exploded in the sky. In the monster's eyes, a figure appeared. Zhao Fan unleashed a powerful fiery attack. This was the soul-cutting magic-breaking fist, killing several monsters without giving them a chance to breathe, leaving only a few piles of white bones. The monsters below were stunned by the sight, mumbling in confusion. Zhao Fan didn't intend to stop. He charged forward, using the violent shattering demon sound palm to strike at the ship in front of him. Instantly, the ship was shattered to pieces, and the monsters aboard couldn't escape their fate. A huge explosion erupted in the sky. Seeing the scene before them, the monsters were so frightened they couldn't stand steady. Zhao Fan continued to fight, growing fiercer, grabbing a piece of debris as a foothold. At that moment, he seemed to sense something, his eyes turning pale, and he thought in terror, auras of the core formation. He watched as the monsters charged toward him to attack. He wasn't afraid, silently thinking, 5 core formation experts. Then he shouted at the monsters, "So you really think so highly of me, a mere nascent soul?" The monsters angrily charged at him, their roars shaking the heavens, and the others followed suit without exception. Then, suddenly, several red ropes flew toward his limbs, binding him so he couldn't move. One monster was pulling on the rope, forcefully wrapping him up. He was pulled with great force, his limbs twisting, and the others weren't spared either. Suddenly, Zhao Fan's eyes widened, surrounded by dripping blood. His limbs were gone, and he thought to himself, "No. It's not over, the head is still there." In another scene, Hanju had completely mastered the 8th layer of the 6 Paths reincarnation skill. The doctrines of the 8th layer were extremely profound, involving many truths about yin and yang. He happily said, "Master has learned a new divine ability. This ability is more useful for escaping than for combat." He happily conjured a door and pointed at it, saying, "Through this door, one can enter the cycle of reincarnation and travel through the 6 paths. If we can't win, we can send everyone to the underworld." The people below were scared and broke into a cold sweat. Tiandong said, "The underworld? Are you joking?" "The Black Prison." Chicken asked, "Does the master mean the most dangerous place is the safest place?" The crowd below was in an uproar. "That's not the point. This is the underworld, a place we living beings can go. Senior brother, speak softly. Don't let the ancestor hear. This is too much. Too much." At this moment, Hanju noticed the system prompt, "Your divine pet, the Chaos Sky Dog, has been attacked by demon cultivators 1086 times. Your friend entered the ancient forbidden hall wearing the revenge armor, disturbed by an ominous force. Your friend Zhao Fan is being hunted by the 3 major sects. His essence blood exhausted, producing evil thoughts. Your friend Hong Quan is gaining insights into the Blessed Land's human path." He read these and thought to himself, ominous force, could it be the power of Demon Brother? Is it demonic magic? It seems outside is not easy for Zhao Fan. Amidst the thick smoke, Zhao Fan's fist dripped with blood. The arm he had raised earlier flashed with a red light, and the black smoke quickly dispersed. Zhao Fan entered the god transformation realm, his eyes blood-red, his gaze sharp as a blade, showing a terrifying appearance. Standing in the billowing smoke and fire, Zhao Fan firmly said, "Demon brother, I will definitely save you. If it's not broken, it won't be established. Break it and rebuild." Zhao Fan ascended to the god transformation realm. The screen displayed the information, "Your divine pet, the Chaos Sky Dog, has been attacked by demon cultivators 1023 times. Your friend entered the ancient forbidden hall wearing the revenge armor." Hanju concluded, "The comprehension has improved. It looks like Hong Quan's actions in the heavenly blessed land are not simple. Suddenly, he realized something was wrong. Wait, Suchi gave the misfortune to the ball demon. The system screen showed, the curse from your enemy, the absolute extinction Taoist, has been weakened by your misfortune, and the chance of encountering a heart demon has increased. He secretly laughed and couldn't help but praise, indeed, it's the most mysterious and strange force of karma in the world. When meeting Suchi, the ball demon is in for a loss. Tiandong loudly said, some people say the underworld really exists, but I don't believe it. Unless he can enter the underworld like Master's divine abilities. I think this thing should be true. Tiandong shouted, so cool. Chang'an showed an unhappy expression and said, stop shouting, Master is about to speak. Hanju was retrieving the reincarnation gate. The black prison chicken, seeing this, wondered, didn't the Master call us here to see this door? He smiled at it, I called everyone here today because I'm going to give a lecture. If you have any questions about cultivation, feel free to ask. The black prison chicken widened its eyes at the mention of a lecture. Tiandong could hardly believe his ears, and Chang'an was thinking deeply about what Master just said. Rongqi looked at his master suspiciously, even Feng Yang felt confused by Hanju's actions and words. The five of them began to whisper among themselves. The black prison chicken started doubting Hanju, did the master take the wrong medicine? He actually wants to give a lecture. Chang'an felt somewhat strange. Did the sun rise from the west today? Rongqi still couldn't believe it and thought to himself, no. This is too strange. Tiandong was also wondering, did he go crazy after crossing the tribulation? Feng Yang was the slowest to react and asked in confusion, what's wrong with you all? Seeing that his disciples didn't seem to believe he could give a lecture, Hanju explained, recently, my comprehension in cultivation has improved by a level, so I decided to take some time to answer your questions. You're all fine. No one spoke, and the few immediately knelt on the ground. The black prison chicken was the first to speak, thank you, Master. The three of them said in unison, thank you, Master. Thank you, Ancestor. Seeing their actions, Hanju fell into thought, actually, after crossing the tribulation, cultivation growth slows down, so I have some free time. He closed his eyes, with faint spiritual energy flickering at his fingertips. Hanju raised his hand and began chanting the mantra, up. Feng Yang was surprised, his mouth wide open, not expecting that he would actually float up. Tiandong, playing around, suddenly saw Feng Yang floating in the air and shouted, is this how powerful a lecture is? The black prison chicken lazily half-opened its eyes and said, why am I suddenly so sleepy? Listening to his lecture, unexpectedly, it sounded so pleasant, like a floating melody. Hanju thought to himself, I'll start with swordsmanship. The sword is the king of all weapons, the most suitable weapon for cultivators. The melody flew over the hills and sand dunes, thinking, what is a sword? What is the way of the sword? The voice of the lecture seemed to travel across the ocean and reach the Yuqing sacred sect, still echoing, it seems that the things of the lower realms are qi, while those of the upper realms are Tao. The tangible is the sword, the intangible is the Tao. The man in golden clothes glanced fearfully and then shouted, what is happening here? The monk, the long-haired man, and the elders of the Yuqing sect all focused on the trembling sword. Jioding, seeing the sword moving on its own, turned to ask a guest wearing a bamboo hat, the sword is moving? Is this happening to everyone? Jioding raised his hand and loudly shouted, it's the great sword cultivator giving a lecture. He quickly sent someone to deliver the message, hurry, send the order for all disciples to come and cultivate. The disciples shouted in unison, yes. From sword cultivators to scholars, to the rats and families, and even those shameless people in the restroom, in the end, people from the lower realms sat together to listen to Hanju's lecture. He gently made a silence gesture. 7 days later, looking at the radiant aura, Jioding proudly spread his arms, I've never seen so many disciples improve almost simultaneously, the future of Yuqing sect is promising. At this moment, the sound of training came from the bitter cultivation immortal mountain. Hanju's gaze passed through the demonic domain opened by the heartless flying sword. He stood in the rotating light, as if descending from the 9 heavens. Hanju raised his sword forward, the tip of the sword gleaming with light. This is the broken sword. The main speaker swiftly struck to kill the enemy. He gripped the sword and dashed forward, his aura and sword energy immediately cutting through space as if a wall of dragons and emperors. The sword energy flashed, sharp and exceptional. This is the Ice Terror technique. The main speaker was unpredictable in battle. Hanju leaped into the air, releasing his internal force and sword energy together. Though the sword energy was fine, its power was immense. His gaze was ghostly, and Hanju continued using a thunder-like autumn fury. He swung his sword, the sword energy accompanied by a powerful aura. Hanju quickly released, this is the swift sword, used to defeat the enemy in one strike at the right moment, ending the battle swiftly. His legs lightly touched the ground. Finally, this is the sheathing of the sword. Swift as a cut, the sword was already sheathed. When sheathing the sword, the body and mind are not affected by battle, and reason is not disturbed by slaughter. Hanju coldly sheathed his sword, clean and decisive. A resolute person advances without retreat, and when withdrawing, one must not stir up great waves. Just as the rivers and seas lie still, the light is clear like listening. Do you understand? They all understood the profound meaning. Chang'an joined his palms. I understand, junior brother. Rong. Qi crossed his arms, sighing. The ancestors' cultivation is truly profound. Feng Yang did not hold back praise. Amazing. Amazing. Only Tiandong looked strange, thinking to himself, I can't run around anymore, listening to Master's lecture for 7 days is more beneficial than wandering outside for 100 years. Hanju's voice rang out, if you understand, go cultivate on your own. The surrounding voices echoed, yes, Master. Ancestor. We will never disappoint you. They kept their promise and threw themselves into cultivation. In the martial training ground, Chang'an practiced sword techniques. Feng Yang was too forceful, with sword energy spinning like a small tornado. Tiandong and Rong Qi were competing with each other. From the outside, Hanju thought, the task is heavy, and the road is long. Forget it. Relying on the spiritual energy from cultivation, everyone can cultivate with peace of mind. This is the immortal cultivation life I seek, without fighting or killing, and no deceit. Life is peaceful and beautiful. Lost in thought, the system's prompt sound brought him back to reality. The content on the screen appeared beside him. Hanju stared at the message in shock. Chang'an was punishing Tiandong and Rong Qi, both of their heads swelling with big bumps. The three were startled by a sound and all looked up toward the same direction. A terrifying force caused Hanju's bitter cultivation immortal mountain to shake, with leaves flying under the pressure, covering the ground. This force enveloped the entire Yuqing sacred sect. Jioding and the elders were so frightened by this force that they shouted, what happened? The pressure is too terrifying. One person spoke up, their voice still trembling, looking outside with confusion. It stopped. In the grand hall of the Yuqing sacred sect, everyone kept discussing what happened. One person loudly questioned, is it an enemy attack, but was contradicted by another, no, that's not it. Another person noticed, the phenomenon seems to be coming from bitter cultivation immortal mountain. Could it be the god-slaying elder? It must be. There's no other presence more terrifying than this in the entire sect. I heard the god-slaying elder has never released such a pressure. Yes. I always thought the god-slaying elder was quite elegant. Me too. I thought he was easy to talk to. Jioding stood quietly, watching as the oppressive force gradually disappeared. He was a bit worried, sweat continuously pouring from his head, and a thought flashed through his mind, that was close. Luckily it ended quickly. Jioding slowly thought, the fluctuation just now also contained destructive waves. Han Elder must be angry. I can't believe it. Han Elder has always been very calm because the bitter cultivation has long broken off from conflict, so he's hard to approach. Unless something happens to someone he cares about. In a crowded place, the celestial dog was bound with thick ropes, covered in wounds of all sizes. It seemed the people planned to use it as a sacrifice, shouting loudly, "The auspicious moment is near. Use the divine beast's blood to awaken the demon emperor's spirit." A demon mage was dancing around the celestial dog. He spread his hands and shouted to the crowd below, "Are you ready to welcome the demon emperor's arrival? Welcome the demon emperor's arrival." At this moment, the celestial dog regained some consciousness and sobbed, "Am I going to die here?" In its subconscious, it recalled the time it spent playing with Hanju. The celestial dog grabbed his leg, begging for food, thinking, "Master, please forgive me." Thinking back to the struggles between the chickens and the prison chickens, the celestial dog felt guilty. "If I had listened to the prison chicken family and not left bitter cultivation Immortal Mountain, there wouldn't have been so much suffering." A sharp blade was on its face, ready to kill the celestial dog at any moment. It felt regret that it would never have the chance to start over. The mage gave the order. The system screen displayed, "Your divine beast, Chaos Celestial Dog, has been sacrificed." Hanju's expression instantly turned like that of a hellish Azura. A powerful force erupted, his eyes bloodshot, and death energy surged. The celestial dog's blood flowed down a pre-dug stone crack, constantly trickling down. Then, the blood dropped drop by drop. The demons shouted, "Sacrifice it, we will surely awaken the demon emperor." Torches flickered, and the people around them were wrapped in leaves. They frantically beat the drums to make the sacrificial ceremony even grander. The realization was there, with black spots already covering their faces. The cries of the demons grew louder, "Demon Emperor, revive!" The celestial dog's body emitted a green demonic aura. The figure of Nahi flickered in the air, and all the demons raised their hands and shouted, "Demon Emperor, return!" He glanced at the celestial dog, his tone filled with regret. "A divine beast? Quite rare. It's a pity that such a treasure has died." Nahi lowered his head and began absorbing the celestial dog's remnants, speaking while moving, "Keep it for later use." At this moment, a warning message popped up on the system screen, "Your divine pet, Chaos Celestial Dog, has been sacrificed and become the mount of the Demon Emperor's successor, Nahi." Hanju stood before the message, his spiritual energy being pressed to its limits. The surrounding forces completely surrounded him. Hanju secretly blamed himself. Dog egg was sacrificed. The Demon Emperor's successor, Nahi. What is that? He seemed to have gone mad, releasing his anger, his eyes bloodshot, unable to stop complaining, "Sacrificing my dog. Did you ask me if I agreed? What does successor Nahi even mean?" Seeing Hanju lose his calm for the first time, the prison chicken also trembled in fear, saying, "Master, please calm down, we will work hard to practice the sword." Hanju stepped forward, his mind beginning to ponder, "The heavens are high and the earth vast, even if I try to find them, I can't. How could Nahi appear in the human world?" Looking at the inscription on the cave door, it read, "Endure for a moment." Hanju walked into the cave, where more words were inscribed, "The sea is vast and the sky is endless." As he walked, he immersed himself in his complex thoughts. Breaking through the sky level is equivalent to reaching the great ascension realm. With an angry hand, veins bulging, he slammed his hand onto the Book of Doom. The strokes Hanju wrote glowed with red light, and he wrote with a forceful fury, "I don't believe you can withstand the curse." Hanju's eyes were wide open like dead fish eyes, with blood vessels showing on the whites. He already had a plan in mind. "Thank you, this is just a chance to test my limits." 3 months later, Xiao Zi was deeply focused on reading, in seclusion, looking as if he were a celestial being. Hanju's voice echoed in the air, "Excuse me, sect leader." Hanju entered Xiao Zi's cave, and Xiao Zi was very surprised to see him. He warmly greeted him, "Swordmaster, stop with the roundabout talk, let's get to the point." Hanju opened his mouth to ask, "I have something I'd like to ask." Xiao Zi responded, "Han Elder?" Xiao Zi's words annoyed Hanju, his face as yellow as paper. "Do you also read books?" He immediately denied, "No. I was just a bit tired after staying up all night." A thought had already risen in his mind. Nahi has neither affection nor hatred towards me. I can't even see the effect of the curse. The kill 100 enemies, lose 10,000 strategy clearly doesn't work anymore. Inside Xiaozi's cave, Hanju asked, "Do you know Nahi?" The two sat and drank tea. Xiaozi looked at his teacup, lost in thought, as if he had heard the name somewhere before. Xiaozi recalled, "Nahi? That name sounds familiar. Wait, I remember. Anyone who studies demonic cultivation has heard of this name." Hanju asked in surprise, "Is the demonic cultivator really the demon emperor?" Xiaozi firmly replied, "Yes. He was the demon emperor who once unified the world of demonic cultivation." Hanju looked at Xiaozi skeptically, as if trying to extract more information from him. He asked, "Why is it just a legend?" Xiaozi explained, "Because he died long ago. But the legend about him still circulates within demonic cultivation." Hanju curiously asked, "What legend?" Xiaozi lowered his head with a serious expression and began to tell the story. This legend is one of the most well-known in the demonic cultivation world. Nahi wore clothes resembling imperial robes, and a dragon crown on his head. According to Xiaozi, he was the emperor of the largest dynasty in history. At that time, after Nahi ascended the throne, the country was prosperous, and everyone knew he liked to collect human-shaped models. It was said he had hundreds of thousands of models, but now only around 2,000 to 3,000 remain. Moreover, buying and selling them was forbidden. Nahi trusted treacherous ministers who killed loyal officials, and in his pursuit of immortality and safeguarding the dynasty's prosperity, he followed the advice of these ministers and turned to the demonic path. As a result, he became consumed by his cultivation, turning into a madman. Soon, he vanished without a trace, causing turmoil in the court. In the war with a neighboring kingdom, arrows rained down, and the people suffered in the sea of flames, eventually leading to the downfall of his empire as it was besieged and destroyed by the enemy. He went mad, his form no longer resembling a human. After walking the demonic path, his eyes emitted red demonic energy. However, during his madness, he lived for 1,000 years using an unnamed demonic technique, until his demonic power reached its peak and he regained his sanity. His weak body and ragged clothes, Nahi stood before the empire he had once poured his heart into. But now, looking back, where was the former authoritative and wise Nahi? He found that the empire had long since fallen, and even the human-shaped models no longer existed. The mountains and rivers shattered. The wind blew like floating willow leaves, and life drifted like raindrops on floating duckweed. In a room, the human empire was playing music and dancing, with the emperor acting like a puppet, indulging in luxury, surrounded by countless beautiful women. For some reason, his expression suddenly turned to one of terror, his eyes seemingly about to pop out. A horrifying scene unfolded. Nahi was pierced by countless swords and arrows, yet he remained unscathed. He walked into the room where the emperor was enjoying the music. Seeing Nahi, the emperor, like a puppet, went mad, stammering, who are you?" In the dark room, Nahi gave a cold smile, standing in the backlight, his face dim and unclear. He spoke in a ghostly voice. "To the emperor, go ask your family's water ancestor emperor, they'll know." Without letting the emperor say anything more, Nahi sent him back to the Earth Mother, entrusting him to those he called the water ancestor emperors. The emperor died in an extremely suffocating manner, and his clothes were stripped by Nahi and replaced with rags like a beggar's. In a fit of rage, Nahi wildly slaughtered the cultivation sects and the human empire. The women who had previously been singing were also brutally murdered. He put on their clothes and made them stand in front of him, like models from years ago. Nahi quietly sat on the emperor's body, now dressed in the emperor's red robes. His face was full of anger. The suffering he had endured for thousands of years couldn't be soothed by simply killing a few people. A vicious light flickered in Nahi's eyes, turning him into an evil demon lord that the great powers of the time could not contend with. Even his name was unmentionable, though there were still strong cultivators in the great ascension realm. Most had already ascended. The remaining ones were few in number, and ultimately, due to the vast difference in their levels, all perished at Nahi's hands. He alone waged war against the major cultivation sections. Though he was the strongest in the world, he was still unsatisfied and began recruiting demonic cultivators to wage war in all directions. He later established the demonic tide, unifying the world, causing more than half of the mortal lands to fall under the control of demonic cultivators. Thousands of years of tradition and rituals collapsed, internal wars and foreign invasions never ceased. And young and middle-aged men were forced to work, even using living humans as sacrifices for the gods and demons. More and more people joined the demonic race, and the demonic cult ran rampant, causing society's productivity to sharply decline. That period was extremely dark and impossible to recall. After hearing the legend of Nahi, Hanju seemed unsatisfied and wanted to know more, so he asked Qingzi, what happened next? Qingzi picked up his teacup and said, fortunately, he ultimately died during the tribulation while ascending. At that time, Nahi confidently faced the thunder tribulation. If he hadn't died, perhaps the entire world would have been controlled by demonic cultivators. Powerful lightning struck the earth, causing rock walls to shatter and debris to fly. He soared into the sky to meet the thunder. Hanju rested his chin and thought, crossing the tribulation leads to ascension, but the great ascension realm failed. According to the system's information, he must have been resurrected through the sacrifice of the Tengu's bloodline. He said this hurriedly, preparing to leave but not forgetting to thank Qingzi. Thank you for the explanation, sect leader. Qingzi, puzzled, asked, why does Han's sect leader care about Nahi? Is Nahi's demonic disciple going to be resurrected? Hanju didn't respond about the Tengu matter, his eyes flashing with light, and the corner of his mouth curled into a slight smile as he said to Qingzi, I was just asking. I'm going back to cultivate. He turned and said, see me off. Qingzi watched his departing back, knowing that something must have happened based on his understanding of Hanju. He thought to himself, Han's sect leader's casual question is definitely not simple. Qingzi began to doubt, could the demon emperor really be resurrected? Gazing at the sky full of white clouds, standing before the immortal mountain cave, Hanju couldn't help but sigh, can our Yuqing holy sect not be peaceful for long? His hands behind his back, Hanju looked at the Yuqing holy sect, deep in thought, muttering a curse. 3 months, he truly couldn't hold it any longer. Hanju's gaze gradually became more focused, and his expression turned serious. How can I let Nahi know about me without being discovered? Under the blue sky and white clouds, amidst a rocky mountain range, a modern house appeared. Suddenly, Hanju saw Hai Quan standing outside. She turned her head and looked at him. Hanju scratched his head and then raised his hand to greet her, stammering, Master, good afternoon. Hai Quan quickly walked up and placed her hand on his forehead, checking if Hanju had a fever or any pain. Her hand was pressed against Hanju's forehead, and the other hand on her own forehead, before coming to the conclusion. As expected, your energy is insufficient, your meridians are chaotic, and you seem to have lost too much blood. Hai Quan frowned as she looked at Hanju, her eyes filled with concern and reproach. You must have encountered problems in your cultivation, right? Answer me honestly. Hanju's eyes widened as he looked at her, his heart tightening in nervousness. Was using the Book of Doom discovered? Hai Quan frowned, her expression stern as she said to Hanju, with your cultivation and the fact that you haven't left the sect, it's nearly impossible for you to be injured unless there's a problem in your cultivation. I really can't think of any other possibility. Hanju, hearing her reasoning, broke out in cold sweat, cursing inwardly, damn. The side effects of using the Book of Doom are too obvious. How was I discovered? Hai Quan continued, although the injury has healed, your spirit seems drained. Do you feel overly exhausted? Hanju hesitated for a moment, wanting to explain himself. Actually, Hai Quan sighed and interrupted him. I predicted this day would come. I've already told you to take proper rest during cultivation. Explaining the Tao is already very taxing on your mental energy. You talked for 7 days, and that was fine, but then you continued to cultivate. Hanju was shocked and asked, Master, you heard me explain the Tao, how was it? You didn't hear anything bad, did you? He Quan sighed and looked away, answering with a blank expression, that day, I was still traveling outside. I only learned about the Tao lecture after speaking for 7 consecutive days. Hanju scratched his head upon hearing this and realized, so you just returned. Then He Quan suddenly remembered something and said to him, speaking of traveling, this was an unexpected gain. Hanju asked in confusion, huh? Behind them, 2 people were hiding and eavesdropping. Chang'an shouted, be careful. Lugui also said, sigh. Is the master trying to catch her? He Quan handed over a tea box with good tea for everyone written on it. She said to Hanju, this is an ancient tea I dug up from a ruin. I don't know how long it's been preserved, but it can warm the yang and replenish qi, strengthening the foundation. It's perfect for you to take back and drink. Hanju looked at the tea box and happily said, living spirit tea, good tea. Looks like master has gained a lot from traveling recently. He Quan agreed, indeed, there have been gains. Fortunately, you're here to watch over the holy sect, so elders like me can increase our luck and rest easy when we go out to train. Before you arrived, it was common for other elders to return empty-handed. How could I not thank the lucky star of the Yuqing holy sect? Hanju, flattered by the praise, immediately waved his hand in denial, master is joking. I'm not that capable. As for thanking me, there's no need. Suddenly, Hanju noticed something from the side. Over there, Fang Liang, Lu Gui, Chang'an, Tiandong, and Rongqi were eating watermelon, showing gossiping expressions as they watched Hanju and He Quan. He was silent for several seconds. Then, in anger, Hanju threw a jar at the group, scaring them into quickly running away. He chased after them, shouting, go practice swordsmanship and take this ancient tea back to your cave for offering. He Quan saw this scene and suddenly said, I really envy these disciples. They are so lucky to have this opportunity. In my life, I've never heard a powerful cultivator lecture on the Tao. I missed it because I was out. Hanju quickly called out, no. Master, you haven't missed it. A Tao lecture doesn't have to be at the ends of the earth. We can have a one-on-one lecture. We can go to your cave or mine, as long as you don't mind. From the moment you went to become an immortal, the opportunity has been with you. Although Master has been distant from opportunities for many years, you've created even greater opportunities. You care for the entire sect, and now I'm here to repay the kindness and offer guidance. He Quan was silent for a moment before speaking, if it doesn't bother you, Han Dao friend. She smiled and said, it's not impossible. Suddenly, Han Zi appeared from nowhere, interrupting He Quan's words, what are you planning, junior sister? He was shirtless, with a noticeable belly, and a diagonal cloth hung across his chest with the words any evil must be punished justly. A small flag was also hanging on his back. Han Zi's appearance made both Hanju and He Quan silent. He continued, actually, I already noticed something was wrong. I didn't expect Elder Han to be here too. Hanju looked confused and asked, huh? Han Zi grabbed Hanju's hand and said, I've been paying attention to the movements of the demonic cultivators, don't worry. You're not alone. Whether it's attacking demonic cultivators or the demon emperor, we righteous cultivators will never allow it. Hanju asked in confusion, what does this mean? But he quickly added, wasn't I just asking casually earlier? Besides, they've been dead for so long. Han Zi then shifted his reasoning in another direction, saying, but Elder Han's words clearly indicate something is going on. Investigating these matters means you're already aware of the righteous cultivators hunting demons. We didn't want to stir up trouble. Hanju, filled with, asked with a face full of question marks. Han Zi continued, actually, signs of the demonic sect's revival were detected years ago. You know, the demonic sect shouldn't exist in this world. Demon hunting missions need to be highly confidential. The demonic cultivators are colluding, and the investigation process is full of difficulties. The true purpose of the sect's revival is still unclear. Combining the questions raised by Elder Han, it becomes clear this isn't simple. The optimistic outcome is the unification of the demonic sect, but the worst-case scenario is aiding the revival of the Demon Emperor, ending the source of it all. This matter cannot be delayed, or else dark history will repeat itself. If the Demon Emperor truly revives, his power will surely be weaker than before, but there will still be considerable trouble. After all, the former Great Ascension cultivators couldn't comprehend it. Han Ju thought to himself, the demonic sect, it looks like the sacrificial ceremony is nearly successful. We were a step too slow. Han Zi didn't know what you were thinking, but still happily said, speaking of which, Elder Han really has vast abilities and can calculate our every move. Han Ju walked past him and coldly said, if we can call back your spies quickly, every day of delay brings more danger. Han Zi asked in confusion, what? Han Ju said no more, falling into deep thought. Jineha's third layer of the Tribulation Transcendence stage is a bit unexpected. I thought it should be the 7th or 8th layer. The cost of resurrection is indeed too great, but it's something that the current Orthodox cultivators can't handle. At least among my Orthodox friends, the strongest is only in the 7th layer of Tribulation. Only Xuanqingjuan can fully suppress Jineha, but she follows the demonic path. The strength of the ball demon is at most on par with his own, and Jineha's cultivation is even lower than theirs, yet he dares to call himself the Demon Emperor. I'm afraid they are loyal to the demonic path, and the result of their cooperation will be chaos. Han Zi looked at Han Ju's back, filled with doubt in his heart. Isn't he stopping the investigation? Forget it, I'll just follow his lead. Even if the sky falls, Elder Han will take it. Then he snapped back to reality and said, let's go find junior sister then. Huh? Why is the door closed? Han Zi stood outside and waved, trying to catch attention. Junior sister. Can I come in and chat with you? Shi Quan gave him a cold glance and refused, saying, thank you for your kindness, senior brother. Recently, I have gained some insights in my cultivation. Let's leave the past behind. Han Zi looked at the curtains that had been pulled shut and sighed bitterly, muttering to himself, all right then. Junior sister, take your time with your cultivation. Inside the cave, Han Ju was still deep in thought, but why did Jineha suddenly bear a grudge against me? Did that dog become a mount and sell me out? No, if the dog was that easy to sell me out, it would have done so already. The system alerted, Jineha extracted the soul of the chaotic sky dog and is aware of your existence. He is extremely wary of you and will definitely try to kill you if given the chance. Current hatred level is 3 stars. Han Ju shouted in surprise. Extracted the soul. Isn't it supposed to be soul disintegration? System, open the chaotic sky dog's profile. The chaotic sky dog's profile appeared. 2nd layer of the Divine Transformation stage, Chaotic Sky Dog, 5-star friendship, one of the ancient auspicious divine beasts. Han Ju looked at it and muttered, the dog's profile hasn't turned gray. It's alive, that's good. Now, finding the dog might be impossible, even if he searched far and wide. Even if he found it, he might not be able to rescue it. Han Ju placed his hand on the Book of Doom and said, the priority now is to increase my cultivation and quickly reach the Mahayana stage. In a distant place, Neha sat in a chair, sensing something and feeling uneasy. Meanwhile, Han Ju calmly replied, if there's a reaction now, the curse was placed half a month ago. Just keep cultivating. Outside, at the Yuqing sacred sect, Xiao Qiao was fighting with a demon beast that looked like a rhinoceros. A green-haired man was hitting the rhinoceros, saying, the 10th one. After the rhinoceros fell, the man asked Xiao Qiao, Master Xiao, what do you think? He replied, You've passed Yuqing's examination and are eligible to be selected as an elder. Another person also said, thank you, Elder Xiao. Suddenly, a voice from behind Xiao Qiao caught his attention. May I ask, are you from the Yuqing sect? It was Du Ku, who said, sorry to disturb everyone, an old friend asked me to greet you at the Yuqing sect. Xiao Qiao, seeing how close he was, asked in surprise, when did you appear? I didn't sense your aura. He said, did a demon cultivator fall into the trap? The man quickly explained, no, I've already left the dark side. My sect was destroyed long ago, so I decided to join the Yuqing sect and dedicate myself to resolving my inner conflict. I won't cause any trouble. Xiao Qiao suspiciously asked, are you here to offer help? The green-haired man shouted, tell the truth, do you want to join the ranks for retirement? Another person pointed at him and said, even demon cultivators are competing for the position of elder now? Is the competition already at this level? He replied, ah. Sort of. Seeing the tense atmosphere, Xiao Qiao stepped forward to mediate. The Yuqing sacred sect embraces the world. If a demon cultivator repents and returns to the right path, they will be welcomed. Those with strong abilities may be considered for the position of guest elder. If selected, a guest elder's cultivation starts from the third layer of the divine transformation stage. The elimination rate in this exam is quite high, so some secret techniques may be revealed. Dooku, with his white hair, said, guest elder. It's indeed a good choice, though the moves might not be very friendly. I will do my best to subdue them. Then he released a powerful flow of air and loudly shouted, sorry, I apologize. The blast of air made the two people who were watching nearby foam at the mouth and faint. A few rhinoceroses were also disoriented. A fierce gust of wind suddenly arose. Dooku, with a troubled expression, asked, is this enough? If there are no objections, please inform the Yuqing sect. I wish to take over today. Tian Xiao was trembling all over in fear, as if his soul was about to fly up to the sky, muttering, do tribulation stage. Hanju joined his hands together and placed them in front. He showed a slight smile on his face and murmured softly, 1 year, 1 year. The birthday cake burned brightly, the flames leaping high. He clasped his hands together and murmured to himself, time flies so fast. The last 100-year birthday celebration seems like it was just yesterday. The system prompted, you have reached 500 years old. If you progress further, you may choose to immediately leave the cave and pacify the demonic path, gaining worldwide fame and receiving a Taiji spiritual treasure. Or continue cultivating and remain away from the world, avoiding trouble, to receive a Taiji spiritual treasure. Hanju didn't need to look, he raised his hand and pointed upwards, happily making his choice. If the rewards are the same, he would choose according to his heart. The familiar voice of the system sounded, confirming choice to continue cultivating, remain away from the world, and receive a Taiji spiritual treasure. Congratulations, you have obtained the Taiji spiritual treasure, 9 layers of Dan Heaven flower. The screen displayed the treasure information, 9 layers of Dan Heaven flower, a 6th grade Taiji spiritual treasure, containing the true essence of wind, can soar into the sky and step onto the heavens. A pair of white shoes were engraved with cloud patterns. Hanju excitedly held the treasure and continuously praised it, not bad. Not bad. Another spiritual treasure that can enhance running skills. The system really understands me. The water surface rippled slightly, and a fishing line was cast down. Chang'an put down the fishing line, probably because no fish had come close for a long time. Rongqi, like his master, didn't care for any fish, nodding off. Only Feng Liang silently fished, with a basket full of fish beside him, and no more space to place them, proving how good this kid's fishing skills were. The most special one was the hell chicken, whose fishing rod was the most unique, because its bait was no ordinary thing. Tian Dong was tied up and still sleeping, while it itself was hung up as bait for the fish below to eat. Suddenly, a pair of feet ran swiftly past, tearing through the wind, leaving them all stunned. Tian Dong was also startled and woke up. Suddenly, the left foot stepped on the right foot. Just like that, both feet gradually left the ground. Hanju smiled triumphantly. The hell chicken, seeing that he had a very cool spiritual treasure, also excitedly shouted, left foot steps on the right foot to soar into the sky. Master is amazing, so cool. It thought to itself, the spiritual treasure is nice, but the top of the foot hurts a bit. I'll need to polish the shoes often. He flew for a while and arrived at a place surrounded by mountains. In his mind, he wondered, a mundane world? Is this really a place with a round sky? Looking at the unfamiliar figure in the sky, he began to realize the problem. It doesn't seem to be on Earth, maybe it's a bit further away. Perhaps this Earth is just too big. Hanju gritted his teeth and flew away. Not sure what he hit, pain surged, and a tooth fell out. He covered his face and shouted, "Ouch! What is this thing?" Hanju's gaze became sharp as he looked in the direction of the object. There was nothing else in the space, and he wondered to himself, invisible barrier? His mind couldn't help but generate many questions about the barrier and the scene behind it. Isn't the upper realm supposed to be ahead? Hanju reached out to touch the barrier ahead, feeling its transparency and thickness. He frowned. Usually, those who ascend should follow the heavenly tribulation to ascend to the upper realm. A thought flashed through his mind, could breaking this thing allow me to ascend? Hanju threw a powerful punch at the transparent barrier. The punch was full of force, but the barrier remained intact. He was stunned. A full force punch couldn't break it? Hanju drew his sword, preparing to use sword energy to break it. He looked at his sword and thought, let's try with the sword. A voice suddenly came from behind, startling him. It's useless. The immortal realm isn't outside the barrier. Even a great ascension expert cannot break this barrier, but if you're here, you must at least be in the tribulation transcendent stage. Cultivators at the integration stage cannot ascend. The old man in tattered clothes extended his hand and spoke naturally to Hanju, in such a remote place, to have a tribulation transcendence cultivator? The system panel popped up showing his information, Dooku, third layer of the tribulation transcendence stage, once a disciple of the demon-controlling sect, now a wandering loose cultivator. As he finished saying, I didn't expect it, a sword energy slashed down. It split him in half. Hanju used the 3 clear possessions and cleaved him into 2 with one strike. He coldly said, the demon-controlling sect still has remnants. I didn't expect a third-layer tribulation transcendence cultivator to be so weak. Hanju hovered in the air, and Dooku's blood and flesh mixed and fell. The system issued a prompt, simulated combat has ended, time, 1 second. His gaze was icy, and a thought flashed in his mind, being able to kill in an instant is not a problem. I can try to investigate him. With Hanju's cultivation, the simulation training ground didn't require a physical space and could be completed in his mind. Because of the issue of distractions from sneak attacks, he limited the training time to 1 second. If it didn't work, he would quit. He curiously asked the person, friend, don't joke. The immortal realm isn't behind this barrier, then where is it? Can you tell me more? The person briefly responded, sure. Some 5-colored light appeared above his head, and he spoke, to talk about the immortal realm, we must first explain this barrier and the stars in the sky. An image appeared, showing many constellations. The stars in the sky were merely illustrations created by a celestial artifact. This is the mortal world, bound by heavenly rules from birth. In the image, some outstretched hands were blocked by chains. Under the heavenly rules, everyone appeared as bound prisoners. Hanju was shocked. He asked Dooku, prisoners? Dooku reassured him, friend, don't worry. As long as we cultivators reach the tribulation transcendent stage. Dooku raised his hand, his face wrinkled. He said to Hanju, we can gain the permission of the heavenly rules, endure the lightning tribulation, ascend, and escape this world. Hanju asked in confusion, permission of the heavenly rules? Then why haven't you ascended yet? Dooku explained why he had not ascended. I have an agreement with a junior at Jade Clear Holy Sect. I need to stay here for 100 years. To guard. Only after the karmic ties are resolved can I ascend. Hanju was surprised, then asked, is it the disciple of the evil sect? Dooku replied, the junior's name is Su Chi. Do you know if his family is still alive? Hanju frowned, suspicion flashing in his eyes. He asked, "What do you need his family for?" Dooku lowered his head, his words full of self-reproach. "Sorry, I'm powerless." That junior was captured by the ball demon, and now his fate is uncertain. Dooku lowered his head, his voice trembling as he confided to Hanju, "I think if his family is still alive, they might be able to help." Hanju stood in place, feeling uneasy in his heart. He did not hide anything and directly said to Dooku, "I truly cannot hide it. Suchi was once a disciple of mine when I was younger." He widened his eyes, looking at Hanju in shock. Dooku's heart seemed to explode. Could it be that what Suchi said? He looked up at Hanju, his eyes filled with sorrow. "Elder Tanshin." Dooku's voice trembled. "No wonder, no wonder." Hanju reached into his robe, took out his token, and handed it to Dooku. "It must be karmic fate. You are in the tribulation transcendence stage. My jade clear holy sect will never look down on you." After saying that, Hanju took out his token and handed it to him. "The journey is long. How about becoming a guest elder? You won't need to show up often, and you can focus on your cultivation. With this token, no one in the sect will trouble you." Dooku's appearance matched his name. He was frail, his back bent. Dooku took the token with both hands, carefully holding it, and looked down at it. He said, "A great kindness. In fact, I just passed the elder examination of the Jade Clear Holy Sect, and I'm waiting for their reply." Hearing this, Hanju felt slightly at ease. Then there should be no problem. Let's return to the sect and wait for good news. Dooku was still worried about Suchi, his heart in turmoil. But Suchi, Hanju knew he was very concerned about. Suchi, but still walked up to Dooku, placing his hand on his shoulder and comforted him. "Don't worry, trust Chi. Let's go." After hearing Hanju's words, Dooku could only reluctantly stop overthinking. All right. The two left the transparent barrier and prepared to return to the sect. Dooku reminded him, "Handaoist, let me say one more thing." The two flew down at great speed, and Dooku said to him, "The 5 great powers of the demon path have been resurrected. The world will soon be thrown into chaos. The Jade Clear Holy Sect should prepare as soon as possible." Hearing this, Hanju fell into silence. Dooku asked him, "If Handaoist wishes to ascend, I can help, and we can ascend out of this world together." A glint of determination flashed in Hanju's eyes. "Thank you for your kind offer, but the struggles of the heavenly realm are likely even more terrifying than those in the mortal world. If I don't have enough strength to protect myself, I will not ascend easily." Dooku slightly closed his eyes, silently evaluating Hanju. It seems Handaoist has a long life ahead, a person of extraordinary talent. Hanju asked Dooku, "Friend, you just mentioned the 5 great powers of the demon path. Who are they?" The 5 great powers of the demon path are, the ball demon, the white-haired demoness, the greedy demon Arhat, the blood demon ancestor, and the final demon king. Hanju was also greatly shocked when he heard the last name, Demon King. A question arose in his mind, is Swankingjian one of them? He asked Dooku, "What is their cultivation level?" He replied, "Great Ascension or half-step Great Ascension." Hanju asked again, "Then, are there any powerful righteous experts who can deal with them?" Soon, the two returned to the Jade Clear Holy Sect. The two landed directly at the gate of the Jade Clear Holy Sect. Dooku answered his question, "Yes, but they are about to ascend and are unwilling to leave the world and make enemies." Perhaps because Hanju trusted him, he began to speak about something he had recently discovered. "Since you have so many questions, I cannot withhold something I recently found out. I've never told anyone, except for the sect master." Dooku, hearing this, became curious and asked, "What did you find?" Hanju said to Dooku, "The demon emperor has been resurrected. Do you think this is related to the 5 great powers of the demon path?" Upon hearing this, it was like a thunderclap. Dooku was shocked, red veins appeared in his eyes, and cold sweat appeared on his forehead. Dooku said in terror, "The demon emperor hasn't changed, has he?" At this moment, Xiao Jiao also reported something to Jiao Ding. Sect Master, we just had a guest elder, he is a great cultivator of the tribulation transcendent stage. He slammed the table, terrified, and Jiao Ding shouted, Tribulation Transcendence. Outside the Jade Clear Holy Sect, there was a hurried sound. Xiao Jiao asked Jiao Ding, do we need to follow the process for the succession? He urged Xiao Jiao, don't worry about it, hurry up and prepare the mansion. The sky was deep blue, with a few white clouds floating like a fairyland. Figures quickly swept across, moving at incredible speed. Su Qi looked ahead, sighed, and curiously asked the person beside him, Senior, where exactly are we going? At this moment, the child became somewhat impatient, and Su Qi angrily turned around and questioned, is the great opportunity real or not? The ball demon was severely injured, wrapped in bandages, looking miserable. The ball demon couldn't help but become angry. If we hadn't encountered those meddling people along the way, we would have arrived long ago. A black cloud appeared in the deep blue sky. Upon closer inspection, there were two black eyes in the cloud, and a voice came from within, Senior, where exactly are we going? The ball demon was pointing at Su Qi, angrily scolding, you keep asking, can you stop for a moment? Su Qi was terrified but still insisted. But I'm following you. These past few days, we either went to the wrong ancient forbidden area or encountered strange natural disasters. The child sighed, pouting and muttering, your cultivation is strong, but I really can't hold on much longer. Then, everything happened as if it were a movie replaying. First, the ball demon and Su Qi struggled to deal with the thunderstorm. The ball demon shouted in panic, heavenly punishment. Has the heavens gone mad? Then, the scene shifted to a place with strange geometric shapes. The ball demon wondered, those ignorant geometric shapes look pretty good. Should be able to use them for soup, right? Next, the ball demon shouted loudly over the sea, where dozens of sharks swam in a vortex. Oh my god, how can there be sharks in the vortex? Finally, the scene froze with the two trapped in an array. The ball demon trembled as he spoke to Su Qi, the power of the law of cause and effect, this is the legendary Central and Southern lands. Su Qi asked in confusion, what are the Central and Southern lands? The ball demon replied, it is said that one can see the past and the future here. Suddenly, Su Qi shouted, Senior. Look. There's someone on the road ahead, their cultivation seems impressive. The ball demon seemed to have discovered something, there's a holy title. It has an unknown power according to the legends. Then, a figure resembling a deity appeared, radiating dazzling golden light. A voice suddenly rang out, divine might, heaven. A thought flashed through, freezing the ball demon. Cold sweat poured out. What a terrifying existence, even calling out the name almost led to destruction. Su Qi thought about everything he had gone through, feeling helpless and sighing. His face turned pale, your luck is really bad. Hearing this, the ball demon angrily trembled and questioned Su Qi, what qualifications do you have to say that? What do you mean bad luck? Although one of his hands was bound, he still resolutely argued with Su Qi, before I met you, my luck was amazing. Are you cursed with bad luck? Seeing his reputation insulted, Su Qi clutched his stomach and continued arguing. Impossible. Even when I faced greater dangers before, I was able to turn them into opportunities. The black cloud continued to float quickly across the sky, and the ball demon and Su Qi remained standing on the cloud. The ball demon helplessly admitted defeat, forget it, we're almost there. I'll tell you where we're going. Then, he pointed ahead and asked Su Qi to look, it's up ahead. This time, we are going to find the demon emperor. Su Qi seemed not to believe his ears and asked again, the demon emperor? The black cloud began speeding toward a gate covered in a green shield. Seeing that they were close to the destination, Su Qi began to understand, what's the connection between him and the demon lord? What about senior brother? The ball demon replied, no connection, they are both from the demon path. Then, the figures of the demon lord and the scheming figure appeared, presenting two strong extremes. Su Qi's voice still echoed, who is stronger between them? The ball demon quickly explained, I don't know their exact strength. But the Demon Emperor belongs to an older era and has a higher achievement. Then came the question and answer session. Su Qi asked, what achievements? He answered, I don't know. Su Qi asked again, then why? The ball demon, growing impatient, lifted his foot to threaten Su Qi, if you ask again, I'll throw you down. Su Qi hurriedly begged in fear, please, no. Then, the ball demon began to warn, when we meet the Demon Emperor later, you need to be more focused, don't speak out of turn. If you don't understand, follow my expressions. He emphasized again, do you understand? I'm still a little unclear, Su Qi repeated, expressions. Suddenly, several sharp teeth appeared from somewhere, scaring Su Qi out of his wits. Behind the two, there was a monster with 1,000 sharp teeth. However, the ball demon acted as usual, sighed, and said, sigh, I'm used to it. There was a hall at the entrance just now. The scene outside the hall was in ruins. Inside, there was a dog, the Chaos Celestial Dog, but people called it by a very strange name, Demon Dog. A person's voice came from inside as a hand stretched out, do you know how powerful my dynasty is? The Chaos Celestial Dog looked at it in disgust, thinking, he's gone mad again. The figure of the speaker slowly emerged from the ruins. It was Jineha. He opened his arms in front of the ruins, saying, I built a foundation lasting 100 generations, conquering the world like whipping a horse, ascending the throne, ruling the world, using punishment to enslave the masses. Jineha's confidence led him to continue rambling, my power shakes the 4 seas. Then, from outside the door, the ball demon was standing at the entrance. He responded in a flattering tone, good, very good, the Demon Emperor's achievements will be passed down through the 4 seas. Jineha looked toward the door, wondering who had just arrived. The Chaos Celestial Dog was asked, and could not help but spit, who is this? So far away? Are they just flattering this madman? The ball demon remained standing outside the door and introduced himself, to the Demon Emperor, I am the ball demon. Upon learning that the Emperor has revived, I have come to offer my services. Realizing the issue, Jineha quickened his speech, I see. Did you arrange for someone to awaken me? Speak, what reward do you want? The ball demon entered the hall and respectfully bowed, if the Emperor can unify the world, that will be my greatest reward. Jineha, confused, asked, what does this mean? The ball demon enthusiastically explained, if one day I can ascend, I will surely join the demon palace in the upper world. The demon path will unify the world, and controlling the human realm is a task assigned to me by the demon palace. Jineha's eyes suddenly turned red, the demon palace in the upper world, if I ascend to the demon palace, would you be willing to receive me? The ball demon still replied respectfully, if the Emperor can ascend to the highest throne, I believe the demon palace will certainly assist you during the tribulation. Jineha, hearing the satisfactory answer, finally showed a smile, very well, Ball Qing, please sit. The ball demon respectfully said, thank you, your majesty. However, at this moment, he noticed Su Qi standing beside him and curiously asked, Ball Qing, who is this beside you? The Chaos Celestial Dog also looked up after hearing this. Upon seeing Su Qi, it suddenly jumped up, isn't this the master's disciple? How did he end up here? The ball demon introduced Su Qi to Jineha, Su Qi, he is the closed-door disciple of the Demon Lord. The Demon Lord is currently cultivating and sent him to serve you. For such an important ascension matter, the Demon Lord only sent a disciple, which made Jineha dissatisfied. He only sent a disciple. The Demon Lord is treating me this carelessly? The ball demon tried to calm Jineha's anger, Your Majesty, please do not be angry. The Demon Lord has a strange temper and is very thirsty for blood. If he didn't come, it's for the better. This disciple represents the Demon Lord's attitude and will help us integrate with the demon path quickly. Jineha reluctantly accepted, all right then. With a grunt, Su Qi turned to the dog and saw it acting crazily, asking, isn't this the Demon Emperor's dog? Why doesn't it look like a dog? The Chaos Celestial Dog lifted its head after hearing this. Upon seeing that Suchi didn't react, it couldn't help but shed tears inwardly. It's over. He didn't recognize me. Flashbacks of Suchi's childhood, the Chaos Celestial Dog and the Black Prison Chicken suddenly appeared. Suchi waved goodbye, not forgetting to wish A86. Back then, the Chaos Celestial Dog was just a little dog. The ball demon saw Suchi standing still and whispered, "This is the great opportunity one mentioned. Hurry up and salute." Suchi helplessly responded, mm. Then, Suchi hurriedly knelt down. Suchi pays respects to the demon emperor. Long live the emperor. Seeing this swift movement, Jineha praised, "Haha, quite clever." Suddenly, Jineha froze. What's going on? That person's cultivation is extremely low. Why do I feel a wave of tension as he approaches? After a while, Jineha made a decision. He pointed at the Chaos Celestial Dog and said, "From now on, you will be the dog keeper under my command." Both the mentioned Chaos Celestial Dog and Suchi were shocked and said in unison, "Huh?" Suchi was angry because he had been deceived by the ball demon, secretly cursing, "Is this the so-called great opportunity? Helping the demon emperor raise a dog?" At the same time, the Chaos Celestial Dog was very confused. Is Suchi the savior sent by the master? I'll have to find a chance to tell this kid about my true identity. Jineha then called the ball demon to another place to discuss business. "Ball sir, I have something I need you to do." The ball demon responded, "What is it?" After a moment of hesitation, Jineha continued, "Go to Dian and find a sect called Yuching sect." In a deep voice, he said, "Kill a cultivator named Hanju." Upon hearing this, both the Chaos Celestial Dog and Suchi were surprised and thought, "Master?" At that moment, in another place, Hanju was happily sipping a modern drink while watching the chaotic scene before him. Yang Tiandong struck, sending an ice spear soaring upwards. On the other side, Morongchi struck as well, raising a ball of fire. "Take my fiery punch." After a battle, the outcome was clear. Yang Tiandong and Morongchi suffered greater injuries. The Black Prison Chicken sat on the ground, letting the other two strike it like scratching a cat. In the end, Hanju spoke, "Don't take risks with the fighting techniques, try cutting off his middle path." Suddenly, a voice rang out, causing Hanju to look back distractedly. A notice board appeared, and the system reminded, "Ahead." At this point, the Black Prison Chicken raised its wings and placed the water bottle down, pressing it on the two, saying without shame, "Sorry, everyone has already given way." Looking at the notice on the board, Hanju was puzzled. Ball demon? On the other side, a somewhat strange task was assigned, prompting the ball demon to remind, "Kill Hanju." He cleverly reminded Jineha, "You're really impolite, asking people to do things so soon after meeting." Seeing the ball demon's opposition, Jineha added, "This is no small matter. I hope Ball Sir will set off soon. If we miss the opportunity." With no other choice, the ball demon had no choice but to agree. All right, I'll go right away." Although he agreed, after leaving, the ball demon still felt puzzled. Yuching sect again? Why does the demon emperor want to deal with Yuching sect? The ball demon stood outside the hall, pondering, his hands resting on either side of his waist. Dian is so far away. Anyone who wants to go can go. Besides, the demon lord has already assigned the task. There's no need for me to go myself. He said he would serve me wholeheartedly, so now I'll consider you. Someone like you, a tool for the revival of the demon path, is only put on display for whom? After meeting with Jineha, the ball demon finally left his place. On the way back, because his thoughts were too focused, the ball demon didn't even notice the monster that had previously fallen over. Hanju. What did that guy do that even made Jineha send someone to kill him? The ball demon's head smoked, but it shimmered. It's indeed a bit interesting. Maybe he's a good person. On a system panel, the ball demon's information showed up completely. 4th level of the Great Ascension Realm. The ball demon had developed a good impression of you. Current affection is 1 star. Affection. One of the 5 great demon path elders, because Jineha didn't show him any respect, the ball demon became interested in the person Jinaiha wanted to kill. Who is you? Hanju, upon seeing the information on the system panel, silently pondered, what does this mean? Cursing all day, yet still getting affection? Hanju rubbed his nose, thinking, are the 5 demon path elders going to fight with Jinaiha? His gaze sharpened as he grinned slyly, let's test the ball demon's mentality. Maybe I can make them tear each other apart. But he didn't notice someone calling, Master. Chang'an said to him, Feng Liang has been cultivating for a while and just broke through to the 3rd level of foundation building. Only then did he realize and reply, he leveled up. Shouldn't we hurry? Chang'an hesitated for a moment, then said, it may seem fast on the surface, but this is the bitter cultivation. To Immortality Mountain. Seeing Feng Liang's expression, Hanju also agreed, that's true. The spiritual energy here is extremely abundant, and Rongqi has already reached the nascent soul stage. Chang'an sighed deeply. He tentatively asked Hanju, could you help see if there's something wrong with him? Feng Liang anxiously looked away, his cheeks slightly flushed. Hanju coldly took a sip of water and replied, no problem, just poor talent. As long as he works hard, bitter cultivation will suffice. Chang'an felt somewhat awkward. Is it that simple? He calmly responded, diligence can make up for wisdom, bitter cultivation is just a process of quantitative change leading to qualitative change. So, Master, you won't be disappointed. Right? Why would I be disappointed? Remember this, bitter cultivation to Immortality Mountain doesn't keep idlers. He thought to himself, things will be different once he reaches the golden core stage. Whether he can reach it depends on his own fortune. Feng Liang was deeply worried, does Master truly think highly of me? But I have no talent. Meanwhile, Hanju and Chang'an continued their conversation. He said to him, I understand the Master's point. Finding a similar cultivation method is impossible, but making him suffer continuously is also not good. Feng Liang remained lost in thought, was joining the bitter cultivation to Immortality Mountain just a coincidence? Maybe I am already unnecessary. Tiandong frantically struck forward with his palm. His eyes flashed red with anger as he shouted, damn. Human cannon. 100 ghosts walking at night. Rongqi, unwilling to be outdone, crossed his fingers and released a burst of electricity. Through gritted teeth, Rongqi said, world-destroying diagram of Demon Luo light. Limitless fierce point. Fuck you. The prison chicken sat happily, drinking 2 cups of water in one go. It teased the two of them, put in more effort. With your current fighting power, you couldn't even scratch my fur. From the sky, one could also see bright fireballs of varying sizes. The voices of Rongqi and Tiandong echoed, dead chicken. I'll go all out with you. Full domain open. I can take care of both of you with a single iron mountain. Feng Liang stood below, looking at the scene, and thought to himself, not bad. They've learned a lot from Master. And yet I can't see any hope. Jioding had his hands behind his back, gazing at the fireballs in the sky, his face serious. The elders behind him kept saying, Ancestor, what's so interesting about a nascent soul fight? There are plenty of those within the sect. If you want to watch a fight to kill time, I'll find a few transformation god elders for you to watch. Jioding turned his head, his face expressionless, his gaze dark as he looked at them. He then shouted loudly, has the Jiolong sect stabilized? Have the finances for the scripture repository been settled? Has the riot in the 10,000 demon realm been handled? Has the corruption issue in the alchemy department been resolved? Are the disciples you assigned being properly taught? The elders, suddenly scolded, trembled, not yet. After speaking, Jioding turned around, releasing a burst of energy, his emotions somewhat angered. He shouted, then why aren't you getting to work? If the tasks I assigned aren't finished by the end of the month, everyone's wages will be cut in half. Jioding, filled with anger and a gloomy expression, gritted his teeth, Li Qingzi's cultivation isn't enough to control you. Can't I manage? Jioding thought to himself, they're arrogant because of their higher cultivation. And the bureaucratic system has become the norm. It seems the Yuqing sacred sect has to stay on alert. He calmed himself down, looking up at the sky as a strong wind mixed with tiny green leaves blew. He thought to himself, if the Elder of Divine Slaughter could handle the sect's matters, no one would dare act recklessly. Rongqi and Tiandong's battle continued to be fierce. Tiandong shouted loudly, "How dare someone in the void realm like you use a Dharma body? I can't play with you." Jioding's gaze dimmed, showing concern as he looked at the prison chicken, who was shouting desperately. His heart was filled with sadness. The Elder of Divine Slaughter's demonic pet's cultivation is almost catching up to mine. The ascension must be done quickly. But the demon sect is stirring. Jioding turned around in frustration, his tone filled with helplessness. "Forget it. I'll arrange for the sect members first, before focusing on ascension." On the surface of the water, a fierce shark floated lifelessly, its eyes bleeding, its entire body incomplete. Shirshir held a long sword, her hair gently swaying in the wind. She looked around, her expression darkened. The area was shrouded in a deadly silence, with thick black smoke rolling and spreading in the wind. Shirshir murmured softly, "I guess it's been dealt with." Suddenly, she turned around, frowning, and reminded Zhao Fan, who was behind her, "Zhao Fan, stop wasting your energy." Not far away, Zhao Fan was still digging at something. Shirshir's voice came, advising him, "The ruins have been sealed from the inside. Anyone below the tribulation realm can't open it. You won't be able to dig to it." Seeing that he seemed to ignore her words and continued, Shirshir's tone turned stern, "Didn't you hear me?" Zhao Fan's eyes were bright as fire, with blood vessels bulging. He frowned tightly, unmoved. Shirshir sighed helplessly beside him, "Really, and it's been so long. Mo Fuchio might have already." Zhao Fan lowered his head, his tone firm as he interrupted, "I brought Mo brother here. Whether he's really dead or not, I must find a way to bring his body back." Shirshir gave him time but sternly warned, "I'll wait for you at most 3 days. If you haven't left by then, I won't care anymore. At that point, people from the 3 major sects will come, and your life or death will be your responsibility." Shirshir, not caring that he was still trying to dig, turned and left. Zhao Fan continued to dig with his determination, constantly reminding himself in his mind, "Mo brother, don't worry, I will definitely bring you back." Zhao Fan's eyes widened, and he discovered something. Sunlight shone down, revealing a round object under the ruins, with a skull pattern on it. Upon closer inspection, he could clearly see the skull slowly splitting apart. A powerful force struck Zhao Fan, sending him flying. Shirshir watched in shock as this scene unfolded. Although he was knocked back and landed hard, he laughed loudly, excitedly pointing to the place where he had been and saying to Shirshir, "It's opened. Lord Shen, the ruins are open." Shirshir was stunned by his words. She quickly turned around, staring blankly. Shirshir asked in confusion, "Is this even possible?" In front of them, a huge green power emitted a strong aura. Suddenly, a stone in front of them violently shook, causing the 2 of them to freeze in place in shock. After a moment, a dark passage appeared before them. Zhao Fan curiously said, "An entrance, let's go in and check." Shirshir agreed and cautioned him, "All right, but you must follow me." The cave was pitch black, with dripping sharp stones above them. Shirshir said to Zhao Fan, "The ruins could collapse at any time. We need to get in and out quickly." Zhao Fan shouted loudly, "Mo brother! Mo brother! Mo brother, where are you? Speak up." Water droplets fell from above, making a tinkling sound. When they reached here, Shirshir and Zhao Fan stopped. She raised her hand to stop Zhao Fan from going forward, and the 2 stared ahead in shock. Shirshir asked suspiciously, "Do you sense anything?" They noticed Revenge sitting cross-legged on a stone, looking down. He was surrounded by a circle of eerie blood-red halos. Zhao Fan excitedly shouted, "Mo brother! He's still alive." Zhao Fan quickly jumped towards Revenge, concerned as he asked, "Mo brother! Are you okay?" Revenge's face was dark, and his eyes gradually opened, becoming blood red. The blood halos around Revenge began to form a shape. Shirshir stood outside observing and suddenly noticed this change, her expression becoming serious. She thought to herself, something's wrong. The ominous energy before was extremely powerful, but now it's completely exhausted. Where did it go? Revenge suddenly stood up, causing Zhou Fan to become overjoyed. He opened his arms and said, "You really are lucky. I'm glad I didn't give up on you." Zhou Fan laughed loudly and said to Revenge, "Can you believe it? I blew up the one opposite, completely relying on the final twist to break through." Zhou Fan became more excited, his eyes shining with light. "You have to know, the one opposite is a ship formed by the three major sects." As he was speaking non-stop, Zhou Fan suddenly looked down in terror. Seeing what was happening before him, he froze in shock. Fu Chao's face was expressionless. He gently pierced through Zhou Fan's chest with his bare hands. He was stunned and stood still in place. Witnessing this terrifying scene, Shirshir couldn't help but feel extreme fear. She screamed, "Zhou Fan!" Fu Chou unhesitatingly grabbed Zhou Fan's shoulder and repeatedly stabbed deeply into his left chest with the other hand. Zhou Fan's eyes widened as blood began to spray from his mouth. Fu Chao's eyes were as red as fire. Coldly, he forcefully yanked Zhou Fan's heart out of his chest. Fu Chou silently looked at the heart he had taken from Zhou Fan's body. Zhou Fan fell to the ground, his eyes filled with pain and agony. He raised his eyes to look at Fu Chou and weakly asked, "Mo? Brother, why?" Shirshir angrily rushed towards him, shouting furiously, "Mo Fu Chou." Meanwhile, Qing Jun and Han Ju were still in intense battle. The two were evenly matched, each using their unique skills, neither willing to show mercy, with every strike being ruthless. Han Ju's face was filled with concern, sweat beading on his forehead. He gradually felt powerless. "I can't find a flaw. It's over. I can't hold on anymore." Qing Jun smiled triumphantly. Seeing her smile and aura, Han Ju couldn't help but exclaim, "Xian Qing Jun is truly powerful to the point of suffocation." Unable to bear the immense force any longer, Han Ju was sent flying and crashed into the rocks. His expression was painful as he couldn't help but scream inside, "Lost again." Qing Jun's slender fingers were placed on Han Ju's forehead. He looked up at her, pale, and stammered, "Wait, don't." With a snap of her fingers, Qing Jun sent Han Ju's head flying. Han Ju sat weakly on the ground. The system's prompt sound went off, indicating the simulation trial had ended, with a time of 2.5 minutes. He thought, even if Xian Qing Jun reaches the third level of the Great Ascension Realm, she can't beat her. Now she's almost no match for the Demon Emperor. Han Ju clutched his head and said in disappointment, "Sigh, after breaking through to the Great Ascension Realm, my cultivation speed is way too slow." Third level of the Great Ascension Realm. A system message box popped up, drawing his attention, with updates to his friend list. The screen showed the following information: your disciple Su Qi has encountered misfortune, and La Qiu Mo's lifespan has been reduced by 1,000 years, effect ongoing. Your divine pet Chaos Skydog has been attacked by demonic cultivators, character 8211. Your Dao companion Xing Hongchuan has been attacked by righteous cultivators. Character 17. Your Dao companion Xian Qing Jun has left the mortal realm. Your Dao companion Xing Hongchuan has gained an opportunity, receiving guidance from a mighty figure, greatly increasing their cultivation. Your friend Huang Jiho has been attacked by demonic cultivators, character 30009. Your friend Zhou Fan has been attacked by your friend Mo Fu Chou, his body torn apart, but his soul was fortunately saved by your friend Xian Shirshir. Your friend Xian Shirshir has been attacked by your friend Mo Fu Chou, and their cultivation has decreased. Han Ju couldn't help but collapse. Zhou Fan is dead again? Even Mo Fu Chou has turned into a true demon. He felt conflicted. Inside, not long after eradicating the demon tribe's source of trouble, has the demonic cultivation revived? 3 years later, Han Ju yawned as he walked out of his cave dwelling. It feels so good to leave seclusion, my back hurts. He stretched, relaxed his muscles, and thought, I'll go visit Master and Senior Sister, and by the way, strengthen their heavenly leaks. While Hanju was practicing in the morning, Chang'an called out to him, Master, you're finally out of seclusion. What happened? Did Feng Liang reach his limit? Upon hearing this, Hanju was slightly stunned, puzzled by the ambiguous words in Chang'an's statement. Chang'an began explaining to Hanju, a few days ago, Feng Liang's cultivation stagnated at the 9th level of the foundation building stage. Despite using a lot of elixirs, he couldn't break through. Has he really stagnated at the foundation building stage? Hanju comforted him, don't be discouraged. Think about it, many people never reach the 9th level of foundation building in their lifetime. So everyone gathered around to comfort Feng Liang. Master must have his reasons for choosing you. Don't be sad, it's already impressive to get this far after 3 years of cultivation. Seeing Feng Liang like this, Hanju thought to himself, the so-called breakthrough to the golden core stage is indeed not that simple. Hanju looked at the child crying while holding his face and said, Feng Liang, come with me. Chang'an saw this and walked over, patting Feng Liang's shoulder, saying, Xiao Liang, with the master ancestor's help, it should be no problem. Really? As the child walked over, Hanju pointed to a corner and said, Chang'an, go to the caves of the west. Spring Fairy and Changyu and I to have them bring the heavenly leak block over. All right, master. As Chang'an spoke, he pushed Feng Liang forward, saying, Xiao Liang, when entering the cave, listen to master ancestor's arrangements. All right. Wu Ji sighed, you guys all have good talent, but Xiao Liang might have reached the limit of his cultivation. What does this mean? Tiandong also said, it's too early to say, and besides, we can't fish without him. Wu Ji lowered his head and said, this path of cultivation, the master has interfered too much. If Xiao Liang's talent can only reach the foundation building stage, then it's better to leave the mountain and live as a rich man for 100 years than to stay here and suffer. Tiandong, worried, peeked out from Wu Ji's arms and asked, Chang'an, are you all right? Chang'an answered silently, please keep an eye out, I'll go do what master instructed. Chang'an silently encouraged in his heart, Xiao Liang. You must hang on. The sunlight gently filtered through every leaf, shining into the cave. Hanju used his inner power to check Feng Liang's pulse and seemed to have discovered something, so that's it. Truly, this child had already met all the conditions to break through to the golden core, but his dantian was covered by mist. The origin of the mist was unclear, and it was sealed with a powerful restriction, strong enough to block even the combined body stage. Not simple, really not simple. If I hadn't broken through to the tribulation crossing stage, I probably wouldn't have noticed. Nearly buried a prodigy. Hanju gently asked, Feng Liang, you've been in the sect for some time now, do you understand what cultivation is all about? Feng Liang answered shyly, replying to Master Ancestor, I cultivate just to become an immortal. Hanju asked again, why do you want to become an immortal? The child answered confusedly, for immortality. Hanju was very satisfied with this answer. This child really has received the true teachings of the Han sect. Hanju continued asking, will you allow power, interests, and companions to hinder your cultivation in the future? Feng Liang answered without hesitation, I won't. I never will. The child said with conviction, my parents died early and I have no one to rely on. It was Master Ancestor who took me in. Master Ancestor's cultivation philosophy is my standard, everything else is inferior, only cultivation matters. Hanju was very satisfied with Feng Liang's response. His eyes sparkled with energy as he asked, good, very spirited. If I gave you an opportunity to soar to the heavens, what would you do? Upon hearing that he would be elevated to the immortal realm, the child immediately became very excited. Feng Liang kowtowed repeatedly, saying, Disciple is willing to have my bones shattered and flesh torn for Master Ancestor. I will spare no effort. No. Wait. I will focus on my cultivation, ignore worldly matters, and never trouble Master Ancestor. Hanju thought with satisfaction, that's more like it. Then suddenly a strong wind began to blow, and the child started to circulate his energy. The process looked extremely intense, and he spoke firmly, "All right. If Master says my talent has reached its limit, then today, Master Ancestor will create talent for me." Feng Liang was shocked by the process, thinking, such powerful spiritual energy, just how strong is Master Ancestor's cultivation? System prompt, your disciple Feng Liang's affection for you has increased, current affection is 5 stars. Han Ju thought to himself, 5 stars of affection? Not stable enough. I need to find a way to stimulate this child. Han Ju transmitted a sphere of spiritual energy into Feng Liang's body. The child seemed to sense a powerful force entering his body. Because he didn't know where this place was, Han Ju began treating Feng Liang, with the Dantian breakthrough changing according to the individual's condition. Most people directly gather their Dan, and few enter the great void of Dantian through the heavenly human induction. Even fewer people open a completely new path through their innate talent. There have been records of 10 Golden Dan, with one even creating a Golden Dan as large as a giant whale, breaking the circumferential law of the Golden Dan. The final achievement of this person, without exception, was unmatched in the world. Feng Liang seemed to be in great pain, shouting in his mind, "What is this?" The child seemed to be standing before a colorful galaxy, something he had never seen before. Han Ju had already realized that the problem lay in destiny restricting his successor. How can I be restricted by destiny? Han Ju said, today. Even if it costs my Dao and lifespan, I will break this damn destiny. Feng Liang was deeply moved upon hearing Han Ju's words, shouting, Master Ancestor. He thought to himself, Master Ancestor has cultivated for many years to extend his Dao and lifespan, but today, he is willing to suffer damage for a disciple like me who is unworthy. Han Ju continued shouting, the successor of Han Ju advancing to a higher level, if heaven blocks me, I am not afraid. Han Ju used all his strength in a single strike, breaking through, and destiny exploded under the pressure, sending out a burst of red light. Feng Liang's tears flowed, unsure whether it was from joy in breaking through the destiny or regret, thinking to himself, Master Ancestor. The child muttered to himself, from now on, Master Ancestor will be my sky, the person I respect most. System prompt. Your disciple Feng Liang's affection for you has increased, the current affection level is 6 stars. Han Ju secretly rejoiced upon hearing this, thinking, great. Han Ju secretly felt pleased, from ancient times until now, playing with people's hearts is the most effective. I've cleared all obstacles. Han Ju thought, the rest depends on you. If you discover your special traits, I hope you can live a long life and not follow the same path as Zhou Fan. Feng Liang's body was about to form the Dan. At Shi Quan's residence, Chang'an said, Shi Quan Fairy, Master said your heavenly bone block needs to be upgraded, it will only take 2 days. Shi Quan Fairy said, all right, I'll go get it now. Shi Quan suddenly noticed the light at the door, feeling confused, 7-colored light? She said, this is a heavenly phenomenon, is a rare treasure appearing? Or is a heavenly gifted talent descending? Feng Liang's body was still in the process of forming the Dan, and the child seemed to be struggling in the vast ocean. Feng Liang tried to calm his mind, facing the massive waves. The child closed his eyes, immersed in the experience, feeling everything within his body. In the sea he was struggling in, a large hole appeared. A blinding light began to emit from within. The light merged with the waves, making it unclear exactly what was happening. In the end, the Golden Dan was successfully formed, and Feng Liang's body could finally continue his cultivation. The boy seemed to float on the sea and mountains, with Feng Liang's presence like a star filling the blank spaces in the sky. Strange phenomena also appeared outside, as golden snowflakes flew like fireflies at dawn. Everyone was shocked. Why is it snowing in June? No, wait. Why is the snow golden? Shi Quan stretched out his hand to catch the golden snowflakes from outside the window, saying, Heaven has bestowed golden snow, a sign of good luck. Shi Quan said, it seems the aura of genius has descended. The aura of genius has descended? Chang'an asked. Shi Quan, thinking to himself, Could it be that Master helped Xiao Liang change his qualifications? Jioding was also surprised by the phenomenon and said to everyone, in my years of cultivation, this is the first time I have seen such a strange occurrence. Everyone responded, Ancestor, this must be the heaven's blessing for our Yuqing sacred sect. The fortune of Yuqing sacred sect is invincible. A transparent feather floated in the wind, with a beautiful golden glow. It was the image of a phoenix spreading its wings and flying. Yuji excitedly said, it's truly a miracle. Is that a phoenix? It really looks just like me. Tiandong widened his eyes and said, I don't know why, but I have a bad premonition. Hanju said tiredly, congratulations on reaching the Golden Dan stage. Feng Liang knelt on the ground, tears in his eyes, if you don't mind, I would like to adopt you as my righteous father. Hanju, upon hearing this, said, don't bring up that nest Tiandong made when we return. The brilliance in the sky and the golden snow on the ground had already disappeared. Feng Liang walked out of the cave, everyone, look, he's out. Tiandong was the first to run over and ask Feng Liang, Xiao Liang, did you break through? Feng Liang wiped his tears from his face and said, Master sacrificed his cultivation and lifespan, personally helping me reshape my qualifications. Yongqi, Tiandong, and Yuji were all shocked by Feng Liang's answer. Tiandong quickly asked, reshaping qualifications? Yuji thought further, wasn't that phenomenon not him? Before he could finish, Hanju's voice came from inside, Xiao He cannot ask. Also, the demon race outside is reviving, so you few shouldn't wander off the mountain. Although no clear answer was given, everyone understood and had their own thoughts. Tiandong thought, reshaping qualifications is going against the will of heaven. No wonder there was thunder earlier, followed by the brilliance. Yuji, however, couldn't believe that Hanju would make such a decision. He thought, for a disciple with limited qualifications, the master actually sacrificed his cultivation and lifespan. Yongqi admired him greatly, thinking, Master seems cold toward those around him, but in reality, he has a warm heart. Chang'an had just returned from Shiquan and, seeing Feng Liang standing there, happily said, Lianger, did you break through? He staggered over and asked, why are you crying like this? The boy sobbed, his body trembling, and answered self-critically, Master. Master sacrificed. Feng Liang cried, I shouldn't have done this. I caused Master to sacrifice his lifespan. If I keep doing this, will I not live long? How should I face him in the future? He placed his hand on Feng Liang's shoulder and comforted him, Xiao Liang, have you forgotten what Master said? Shiquan said, Chang'an brought the light of the party and people. Ah, no, he brought the light of Master, which illuminates the disciples' path forward. He added, the arduous cultivation mountain doesn't take in just anyone. There's a reason why he did what he did. You must trust Master. If he made such a decision, there must be a turning point, so don't blame yourself too much. He continued, Master works hard in cultivation, and normally, he wouldn't take in disciples. There are many excellent disciples in the Yuqing sacred sect, but only a few reach here. Honestly, I didn't want to hide it, I came here because I was troubled by emotions. I originally planned to spend my remaining years in peace. But Master gave me a mission and dignity, and I realized I wasn't completely empty. Feng Liang asked, what is the mission? Chang'an continued, my master's true form is an ancient spirit ginseng. It is destined to never run out of spiritual energy. When it comes to the spiritual energy production of the cultivation mountain, the muge tree is definitely the first. And I only take up 1/3 of it. Feng Liang shouted, is it really that amazing? No wonder Master values you so much. UT interjected proudly, of course. Do you think we just eat and drink? My father's true form is a phoenix. Tiandong scratched his head after hearing this, wondering if there was anything special about him, all my righteous fathers say I have a demon saint bloodline, but I can't tell how powerful it really is. Yongqi was in a worse situation, sighing, I don't seem to have any bloodline, I feel like there's nothing special about me. They began to argue about what talents young Qi had. Chang'an said, "Cheer, haven't you noticed that many things now come from your own understanding?" Young Qi replied, "It really feels like I've seen this before, but I don't know why. Could it be that there's potential I haven't tapped into yet?" Ut interrupted, saying, "I think the basic trait is that no matter what angle you look from, only one of your eyes is ever visible." Tiandong laughed loudly, and Feng Liang stood by, surprised. The boy's tears flowed in two streams, thinking, the threshold to become a cultivator on the cultivation mountain is so high, no wonder no new disciples have joined in so long. Does this mean it's not that I don't have the qualifications, but that the timing just wasn't right? Feng Liang thought, Master has given me a new beginning, I will not disappoint your expectations. To Feng Liang, Hanju was always the one who reached out to help him. Ut said with a brilliant smile, to celebrate Xiao Liang's promotion, we've decided to stop training temporarily and go fishing for 2 days. Chang'an responded, speaking of which, it's been a while since I went to the market to buy fish. Tiandong, remembering the past, said in fear, please don't make fun of me this time, okay? Before he could finish speaking, a powerful energy suddenly began burning from behind them. They all said together, reshaping qualifications is no simple task. This spiritual energy, this purity, it's so high. Feng Liang's mind was focused on only one thought, Master, I'm afraid it's too late. I just want to repay you as soon as possible. The boy stood alone, circulating his energy, making everyone else stunned. Less than half a year later, they were still busy with their own things. Ut went to play ball, Chang'an was practicing sword techniques. Feng Liang continued his hard training, and Tiandong and Yang Qi were still fooling around as usual. The first layer of Golden Dam was completely stabilized and began to exert force. Feng Liang used fishing as a way to show his determination, while also training. Not only that, he even caught a living whale. A legend began at this moment. He practiced even while bathing, and when sleeping, his eyes were wide open, still practicing. In the end, after 3 years, the boy reached the 3rd layer of the Golden Dam stage. Those who saw it were all amazed. Even someone as quiet as Yang Qi couldn't help but say, among those of the same age, Feng Liang's speed of advancement has already surpassed us. Seeing Feng Liang's performance, Chang'an also said, at this rate, Xiao Liang's talent might be the strongest here. Feng Liang immediately displayed, everyone, look. I caught a 350-pound black grass carp. This is amazing. No need to go to the market anymore. The chili powder is ready. Can Xiao Liang touch the fish? I've never caught a fish this big before. But something in the sky looked like a meteor, quickly descending. It was moving at an incredibly fast speed, heading straight for the mountain where Hanju lived. Ut instantly sensed that an enemy was coming. Tiandong's eyes and expression became terrifying as he said, from my intuition, the point of impact is our cultivation mountain. They really have guts. Tiandong was preparing fishing bait and, enraged, jumped onto the shore shouting, it's been years, and there are still people who don't know that throwing things from high up gets you sentenced? Ut stood firm and said, now is the time to fight for Cultivation Mountain with all our strength. Chang'an followed, saying, only success is allowed, failure is not. If we can't stop this, Master will definitely punish us. It sounded easy, but when the meteor fell, oh no. Everyone ran to save themselves. Who had the time to protect the Cultivation Mountain? The remaining people thought to themselves, Tigu, let's see what you're protecting. Tigu panicked inside, thinking, no. This is the last hope of the Air Force. Chang'an, concerned for his disciple, asked, Lianger, what's wrong, are you okay? The boy, holding his swollen head, replied, I'm fine. After everyone calmed down, they noticed the object that had just fallen. What exactly is it? It looks like a spirit stone? But no spirit stone looks like this, it seems more like a die. In the end, they decided to take it to Hanju. At this point, Fong Liang began to complain, "Master, just now. A stone fell from the sky and hit my head. My teacher and the others couldn't stop it. Let me take a look." Hanju picked up the stone and said, "It just fell from the sky? Was there nothing else?" The boy replied, "Yes, master." After carefully examining it, Hanju thought, "The spiritual energy is undisturbed? It certainly can't be an ordinary object." Hanju looked at Fong Liang and thought, "Is this the child of heaven and earth? Even without leaving his house, he can obtain such opportunities? This is even more unbelievable than what happened to me." While thinking, Fong Liang walked around the room saying, "What should I send? I want to study this thing. I can't let you lose out." Fong Liang hurriedly said, "It's fine, this treasure should be offered to you." Looking around, Hanju finally decided, "You're lucky. I've just come up with a new version of the Heaven's Strange Corpse. Unfortunately, I don't have the right materials to withstand the Tribulation Realm's power, so I can only separate the body to preserve the spiritual energy. Even if we encounter a low-level combined realm cultivator, as long as the 5 parts are together, they can protect you. Consider it a trade for your opportunity." Fong Liang, hearing about the new version of the strange corpse, admired it greatly and quickly said, "Thank you, master." After Fong Liang took the strange corpse and left, Hanju stood above and thought, being recognized by the child of heaven and earth, this thing must be extraordinary. Hanju stood in the cave, holding the stone up to the light, carefully inspecting it, thinking, no matter what, this is indeed a spirit stone, but its spiritual energy is far beyond other spirit stones. At this point, the earth grass had just woken up. She was stretching her body, planning to wake up fully. Suddenly, the light from the spirit stone in Hanju's hand was blinding. The earth grass thought, "Do I sense a familiar aura?" The earth grass shouted, "Master, I think I've seen this stone before." Hanju looked at her and asked, "Where have you seen it?" The earth grass hesitated before replying, "My previous master, she once used such a stone during her cultivation." The earth grass words made Hanju somewhat confirm his thoughts. The stone used by immortals really is a heavenly item. The purple stone shone even brighter under the sunlight, and the 5-pointed star pattern carved around it made it seem even more mysterious and marvelous. Hanju thought, "It looks like a spirit stone." Hanju, holding his arms, looked at the stone, then made a judgment. If it were just a spirit stone, it wouldn't be something that immortals would hold in their hands every day. The full-force transmission of Tribulation Realm energy couldn't penetrate it, and no trace of energy can be detected. No wonder the immortals always keep it tightly in hand. Its only purpose must be. The earth grass widened her eyes as she gazed at the glowing stone. Hanju immediately thought, enlightenment. He frowned and said, "But my cultivation isn't enough to comprehend through this." The earth grass was astonished. "You can comprehend the great Tao just by holding it? How amazing." Hanju answered her question, "Many years ago, I read a book that described this kind of item." He looked into the distance and then told the earth grass, "This is called the Enlightenment Stone, and it grows from the roots of a tree or plant. It once gained blessings near the government office, and the plant comprehended day and night, eventually." Hanju looked at the earth grass with sadness. The earth grass still innocently asked, "What happened in the end?" Hanju looked at the stone before asking the earth grass, "Do you remember what I promised you? That I would give you a complete life." The earth grass thought for a moment and then blurted out, "I remember very clearly." Hanju handed the stone to the earth grass and then said, "Perhaps the key lies here." The earth grass was surprised, her mouth opened wide upon hearing this, and she froze, "Huh?" Hanju pushed the purple stone in front of her and whispered, "Take it." He looked at the earth grass and said his thoughts, "If you have recognized it, perhaps the immortals have left a trace for you. See if you can comprehend anything?" The earth grass, terrified, shouted, "No. I'm useless. And how would immortals even notice a grass by the roadside?" Hanju sighed, helplessly saying to her, "Have you never wondered why out of all the grasses, only you could live for 90,000 years? After saying this, Hanju entered the immortal mountain's cave, reminding the earth grass as he left. Also, I need to cultivate. During this time, watch over this treasure for me. If there are any results, tell me immediately. The earth grass quickly replied, yes, master, I'll complete the task. The earth grass then leaned against the glowing purple stone and took a nap. Time flew by, and 7 years later, in the Yuling sacred sect, an angry and helpless voice rang out, Nine Ding Jinren, the demon cultivators have become increasingly rampant in recent years. In the main hall, Nine Ding sat in the center, with Wu Gang and Xiao Jiao beside him, and the other elders and disciples of the sect below. Everyone was discussing, we must know that since the battle with the green python, our righteous path has suffered severe losses and has yet to recover. When did the demon cultivators rise? It seems they intend to overthrow our rule. The immortal mansion has already intervened, and the Yuling sacred sect should stand up to reassure the people. Nine Ding showed a serious expression and said to the crowd, in recent years, I've received information that the demon emperor from 1,000 years ago has been resurrected and intends to rebuild the empire of the demon cultivators. The people below were shocked. An elder said in surprise, what? The demon emperor? Doesn't that mean the world will fall into chaos? An elder holding a gourd, looking unconcerned, even a bit optimistic, reassured everyone, what's there to fear? The demon emperor is still far from us. The cultivation world is naturally powerful because of the alternation between the righteous and the demonic. This is also the reason why talented individuals constantly emerge. He glanced around and said, we don't need to worry too much. The robots behind also chimed in, that's right, even the mighty green python saint didn't die. People nearby added, although the demon emperor once unified the demon cultivators across the world, that was many years ago, and the times have long since changed. Qingzi watched the heated discussion, but the elder remained silent, unsure of what to say, with a worried expression on his face. At this point, Nine Ding remembered something and asked Qingzi, decades ago, elderly investigated the demon emperor. Has he already discovered something? Recently, there have been almost no reports from the demon realm. Qingzi suddenly looked up at Nine Ding when he mentioned the past. Qingzi then realized the severity of the problem and told everyone, decades ago, Elder Zhanshan specifically asked me to investigate the demon emperor. Perhaps he had already foreseen something, but he didn't say much, and he hoped I wouldn't spread the news, so I've kept quiet about it. All the disciples below were shocked by this news and shouted in unison, what? Xiao Jiao turned to look at Nine Ding, expressing his thoughts. Could it be that Elder Zhanshan already predicted a disaster in the cultivation world? Wu Gang crossed his arms, closed his eyes lightly, and said, he didn't say it to avoid making us worried. Nine Ding lowered his head slightly, his eyes unfocused, his tone filled with clear worry and tension. Even Elder Zhanshan specifically inquired, it seems this catastrophe will not be small. Bu Mia stood up and asked Nine Ding, report, Master, the Wei Blood Flame Heavenly Gate has established the Blood Ming Armor Army and plans to send it directly to the Great Yin. Do you think it's feasible? Hearing Bu Mia's words, Nine Ding replied, the spiritual energy in Great Yin is insufficient to support so many cultivators, it's probably not feasible. Bu Mia felt a bit awkward upon hearing the response. Nine Ding furrowed his brows, his eyes flashing with determination and decisiveness. He gave the order, construct a teleportation array. Everyone work together, help each other, and try to complete it within 2 months. All the disciples of Yuling Sacred Sect shouted in unison, wow! Master is righteous. At that moment, Nine Ding remembered something and reminded, there's one more thing. Under the blue sky and white clouds, soft clouds drifted leisurely. Nine Ding's voice came from outside the hall, go down and notify everyone, restrict all contribution tasks within Great Yin, and summon all disciples outside Great Yin to return. Watching the trees at the roots sparkle under the sunlight, Hanju sat cross-legged on the grass, lost in thought. He then asked himself, is cultivation boring? If I said it's not boring, it wouldn't be possible. In the long years of cultivation, besides contemplating the lessons of a lifetime that must be understood, the rest is cultivating spiritual power, and this step is truly dull. Only by recalling the past can the void be filled, including the memories of my past life. Remembering that time, Hanju held a plate of food, busily preparing dishes. He couldn't help but sigh. In my past life, I was a genius chef, dreaming of making spicy Sichuan cuisine famous in the Ma family. Later, I inherited my grandfather's restaurant, just about to show my skills, but I passed away prematurely due to nuclear wastewater. The mischievous figure of Ah Bao also made him reflect. Ah Bao, we probably won't meet again. This life has passed for many years, it's best to return to your divine realm. A beautiful and sexy girl holding a plate of cakes made Hanju worry. And you, what if you can't find a new chef and starve? In this life, we are worlds apart. I hope we can meet again in the next life. Amid his disorganized thoughts, suddenly a girl's voice called from behind, Master. The sudden voice made Hanju alert. His sharp gaze swept to the back. He saw a woman with large eyes and long legs, and Hanju asked, who is it? But as he focused, he realized that the person in front of him was completely naked. Hanju quickly shouted, no, wait. Looking at the empty flower pot on the ground, he shouted in surprise, you? The earth grass? The earth grass stood in front of Hanju, still holding the purple stone in his hand, and confirmed, it's me, Master. He collapsed onto the grass, propping himself up with his hands, staring at the person in front of him in disbelief. Hanju stammered, what? You've transformed? How come there was no sound? Why was there no tribulation? As if suddenly realizing, he rushed over to grab the stone in Earthgrass' hand to examine it closely. Earth Grass, too, looked at the stone in surprise. I don't know either, and it skipped the tribulation and transformed before the 10,000-year deadline. Hanju caught the implication in Earthgrass' words and asked suspiciously. Skipped? So this isn't the Enlightenment stone, no changes have occurred when you used it? Looking at the stone shimmering in the sunlight, Earthgrass reminisced, no, I didn't comprehend anything when I slept with it last night. When I woke up, I had transformed. Hanju thought to himself, strange. I didn't notice anything either. It must be something from the higher realms. He furrowed his brows, filled with doubt, still reassessing the stone, avoiding the tribulation. Could this stone have the power to deceive the heavens? If so, wouldn't that mean we wouldn't need to undergo tribulations anymore? Fong Liang. Your gift is truly huge. Just solved the golden core not long ago, and now this fortune, the gains will definitely be great. Fong Liang is forever a god, truly worthy of being the son of heaven, but why does it feel like something's off? Hanju turned to look at the nearby grass, while Earthgrass sat behind him, feeling puzzled. At this moment, Hanju realized a major issue and shouted as he ran out of the cave, wait, I'm going to buy clothes, stay here and don't go out. It was for this reason that Hanju had made an exception to go out. Earthgrass wore well-designed shoes and a refreshing green outfit that looked very nice. Earthgrass asked Hanju, Master, do I look good like this? Not hearing a response, she called out again, Master. Hanju, with his back to her, had a gloomy expression as he pulled out his wallet, which only had a single coin left. Hanju sighed, clearly, it's much less than men's clothes, but it costs more than a full set of armor. Earthgrass blinked and then posed before asking again, how about now? This is how my former master looked. Hearing this, Hanju turned his head to look at her, thinking to himself, is this how that immortal looked? But not as good as my master. He sat down on the grass, sighed, and asked her, it's okay. Have you decided on your name? Earthgrass thought for a moment before telling him, I've decided. She looked at Hanju with excitement, eagerly exclaiming, Master, I'll be called Woodao Sword from now on, how about that? Hearing this, Hanju froze on the spot. He helplessly turned around and asked, Woodao Sword? Why did you come up with that name? Earthgrass jumped up, supported her chin with both hands, raised her feet high, and struck a strange pose. She carefreely said, "Because I think I should learn the sword." Hanju sighed helplessly and said in a weary tone, "Staying true to your original intentions is a good thing, but this name." Then, her voice echoed in the cave, "Master, can you teach me swordsmanship?" Hanju, unable to resist her coquettish request, had no choice but to agree. All right, let go. I'll teach you the absolute finger divine sword." Mo Luan was fishing with Fong Liang and Chang'an and wondered, "Did I just see that right? It seems like Master bought women's clothes." Chang'an noticed this too, and its size S, you can tell from the shoes. Mo Luan asked, "Who would wear such things?" Fong Liang turned around, hearing Mo Luan and Chang'an's conversation, with a look of fear on his face. Time flew by, and 13 years passed. In front of a magnificent waterfall, the water roared, mist filling the air. This beautiful natural scene was both peaceful and grand. Hong Quan was running quickly, frowning as she shouted, "You evil creature! Come and face your death." The black handmade frogs were torn into pieces by Hong Quan, and a piercing scream followed, "Ah, my goods!" A purple frog demon, with a red scarf tied around its neck, angrily shouted at her, "Human cultivator! You should die. My demon race has long secluded itself in the mountains. We only went to the market to sell some handicrafts for survival, with no malicious intent. Yet you insist on chasing us to the end." Hong Quan stepped on the pile of handmade frogs and pointed forward, angrily shouting, "Hand over my husband, and I'll let you go without death." The frog demon, extremely confused, widened its eyes and reasoned, "Husband? Our clan has never hunted humans. Where would we get a husband?" Hong Quan pointed to a puppet that resembled Hanju and angrily said to the frog demon, "How do you explain this?" Following her gesture, the frog demon looked at the puppet in the cart and helplessly said, "Ah, you mean this? I thought it was trash, but the quality still has some value." Hearing the frog demon mock her puppet, Hong Quan was consumed with rage, shouting wildly, "Trash? This is the token of love between my husband and me." The frog demon quickly explained, "I found this by the river. I saw it on the ground and no one wanted it, so I picked it up." Hong Quan lost her sanity, unable to control her emotions, angrily saying, "I was bathing at that time." Hong Quan furrowed her brows, not planning to let the frog demon go. She reproached, "And it's wrong to take something without my permission. Moreover, my things are not trash. Clearly, you took advantage of me for personal gain. You have a skill, so why bother picking up trash?" The frog demon turned towards the cart, hanging its head in frustration, and said to Hong Quan, "What else can I do? I had no choice but to take this path. It's not that I didn't want to, but life has drained all my strength." She still didn't listen, continuing to shout, "That's still no excuse." The frog demon lowered its eyes, filled with worry, and painfully reminisced about the past. "It's so pitiful. Why should the mistakes of the elders be carried by our generation? Business is not going well." The frog demon bowed its head in front of Hong Quan, and its words left her stunned. The frog demon sighed, "There's no security, internal strife among the demon race, our territory's resources are becoming scarce, we can't interact with humans, we simply can't survive. Our two races were supposed to coexist peacefully, we could have drunk tea by the hearth, enjoyed family life, and had no need to pick up trash." Its voice grew soft, choking up, "Everything has been for the demon saint, for that so-called benefit, that's how we ended up here. We deserve it. We accept the mistakes made by the demon lord, we don't ask for your forgiveness, we only wish to return to the peace we once had." Upon hearing the frog demon's confession, Hong Quan furrowed her brows and remained silent. Its voice trembled, "There are elders above us, children below us still waiting for medical treatment. For ordinary demon folk like us." The frog demon shouted angrily, "What's wrong with living?" Suddenly, a hand with great force ripped the frog demon in half, the action swift, professional, and decisive. A strange voice followed, "If there's a mistake, it's that I was born at the wrong time. Hong Quan stared in horror at the chilling scene before her, and she cautiously shouted, "You. Who are you?" The person before her inwardly sighed, "Demon cultivator." A figure with red hair appeared in front of Hong Quan, his eyes glowing red, and a wicked smile on his lips. He retracted. The hand that had torn the frog demon apart, still covered in blood. The man spoke, really slow. "Miss, you're not like a demon cultivator. If it were me, I would have finished it with a single strike. How could it be so slow?" He threw a puppet towards Hong Quan and said, "If you want to get your things back, be more decisive. Here, take it." She quickly caught the puppet, then scolded him for his actions. "I have my own ways, but you really went too far." He pointed at the handmade frogs on the ground and said to Hong Quan, "We are both demon cultivators. Why should we care about these things? Besides, miss, you destroyed his handiwork. Isn't that a bit excessive?" She replied, "I only made him compromise. Of course, I will compensate him fully." He walked over to Hong Quan, and his words stunned her. "Compensate? Miss, you're not thorough enough as a demon cultivator. Now that the demon sect is in power, why should we care about the common people? When the Tao orthodoxy unifies the world, we will liberate ourselves." He smiled wickedly and began to brainwash Hong Quan. "Life is about making your own decisions. Everything is for yourself. Morality, ethics, law, patience, affection, to hell with them, they all come from the same source. Why not, miss, take me as your master?" Hong Quan sneered inwardly, "What a sissy." She then picked up the puppet and turned around, looking at him firmly and saying, "Senior, I already have a husband. The matter of taking a master should be discussed with my husband." He glanced at Hong Quan, his tone becoming harsher. "Husband? Fine, go back and tell your husband that if he's from the same sect, that would be best." He handed a token to Hong Quan, and she asked while looking at it, "I still don't know the senior's name?" He propped up his hand and passed her the token, smiling confidently as he spoke to Hong Quan, "I'm the first disciple under Bai Fa Mao, at the 7th layer of the combined body stage. If you want to take me as your master, come to me with this token." He flew into the air, and Hong Quan quickly shouted, "Thank you, senior. I will definitely remain loyal to the demon sect." His figure gradually disappeared into the air, leaving behind a final word, "A wise person adapts to the times. I admire you, miss. Perform well, and the demon sect will remember your loyalty." She kneeled to the ground, respectfully lowering her head and responding, "I am deeply grateful." He vanished into the air, leaving only a faint trace of his presence, and Hong Quan sighed with relief, slipping her hand into her sleeve. She took out a stack of demon sect tokens and couldn't help but feel relieved. "I almost got taken by a demon cultivator. The frequency of demon cultivators showing up is increasing. Are they pursuing achievements?" The dusk fell, and the sun slowly sank behind the mountains like a fireball. The scene was incredibly peaceful. A thought flashed in Hong Quan's mind, although it was just a brief encounter. She knelt on the ground, facing the frog demon's grave from earlier. It was at this moment that Hong Quan understood its feelings. She murmured, "Although the demon race and human race are different, we all must face the torrent of time. This feeling of helplessness is real." Hong Quan looked at the grave with deep sympathy in her eyes. "You have suffered too much in your life." The grave Hong Quan built for the frog demon, though simple, was made with sincerity. There was also a complete handmade frog on the grave, some wild fruits, and a small bunch of flowers. Hong Quan was silent, silently praying, "I hope in the next life, you will be born in a good place." She thought to herself, "I should return to the Yuking sacred sect. I wonder if my husband feels lonely?" In front of Hanju's immortal mountain cave, he sat with his head bowed before earthgrass. Hanju thought to himself, "Since I reached the early stages of the 3 clears, I haven't used my original technique. Now, this technique is inherited by Wudao sword." Suddenly, several sword energies appeared around earthgrass. "This is the 3 clears shadowless sword." The little girl, mischievously, winked at Hanju. "Not only that, but we can also perform the absolute finger divine sword together. He marveled inwardly, too. Use two sword techniques simultaneously. Tiandi Grass's talent is several times stronger than the Chang'an group. Hanju looked at the little girl before him, a satisfied expression on his face. More importantly, the spiritual energy generated after Tiandi Grass transformed was at least 3 times more powerful than before, allowing Hanju's breakthrough speed to be nearly the same as before. Compared to before, he had now cultivated the 4th layer of the tribulation realm, and Hanju was very pleased with his current state. Not bad, let's stop practicing here for now. The grass on the ground grabbed his sleeve, and the whole person seemed to want to stick to Hanju, coquettishly saying, Master, do you have a sword move stronger than this? I want to learn it too. Hanju gently closed his eyes, sighed, and thought that the sword moves stronger than hers would be impossible for her to learn or perform. The grass looked at Hanju with those shining eyes and pleaded, Master, please teach me. The little girl sat on him, shaking Hanju's arm and acting coquettishly with a sweet voice asking, Teach me, teach me. The grass's actions made Hanju angry, and he shouted, What exactly are you doing? Hanju roared, Is this how you ask for something? He clenched his fist again and urged the grass to stop being naughty, saying, Get down, I still need to cultivate. Hong Quan did not know when she arrived, but when she saw this scene, she was stunned. The puppet in her hand dropped to the ground, and the sound caught their attention. Hong Quan seemed petrified. She stammered, Husband. You too. At that moment, Chang'an ran over and spoke, breaking the awkward silence. I'm so sorry, my wife was too happy and couldn't stop her. Did we disturb your cultivation, Master? Now Chang'an and Hong Quan were almost the same, both quietly standing and watching the grass sitting on Hanju. Chang'an quickly ran out and, as he turned the corner, didn't forget to leave a word, Yes, I understand. These are the oysters prepared for Master. He pointed at Chang'an, wanting to explain. Ah, wait, it's not what you think. Hong Quan, upon hearing Chang'an's words, smiled threateningly, and a hint of fierceness flashed in her eyes. Hong Quan gritted her teeth and said, Then who exactly is she? The grass still didn't realize the severity of the situation. She turned and glared at Hong Quan, asking, I am called Wudao Sword, what do you want? Hong Quan walked up to the grass and lightly provoked, with a smile in her voice, Humph, what a strange name. Hearing Hong Quan insult her name, the grass immediately retorted, You have the strange name. This is the name my master gave me. Hong Quan asked suspiciously, Master? She looked at the grass with a look of disdain in her eyes. Hong Quan calmly mocked, I see you know how to play really well. Hanju saw the tension and ordered, Wudao Sword, go cultivate outside first. Both of them turned to look at him, and the grass, surprised, asked, Why does the master want to send me out? The grass was unconvinced and shouted, I won't leave. As a concubine, I can never leave the master's side. Hong Quan admired, Oh, which peak is this fairy from? Hanju felt like trouble was coming and, with a dark face and a bitter expression, said, Fairy? She's just some grass I gave life to, only recently did she take form. Hong Quan was stunned, unable to believe her ears, and asked in surprise, Huh? After speaking, Hong Quan pounced on Hanju, calling out, Husband. If you like women, just tell me directly. After she hit him, Hanju cried out, Ouch, it hurts. The grass panicked and shouted, Stop, stop. Hong Quan's voice echoed, It doesn't have to be the same type of grass. Before she could finish, Hanju interrupted her, Shoo, darling, she's just a child. The grass was stunned, not understanding what they meant, her eyes wide open as she looked at them and confusedly shouted, Ha. Hong Quan tempted Hanju, saying, How about I stay here with you and not go out? Hanju loudly rejected, Don't even think about it, don't disturb my cultivation. She refused to give up and continued, Listen, is this not what people say? These words made the grass's face turn pale, and Hong Quan used her trump card against him. She acted coquettishly, But I really miss you. Hanju exposed Hong Quan's words, saying, You already have the heavenly curse, isn't that enough? She froze, stuttering. Well, I used the heavenly curse earlier, did you notice? Upon hearing this, the grass exclaimed in surprise, huh? Hong Quan tightly hugged Hanju's neck. He also reached out and held her enticing body, then helplessly turned to the grass and said, so? Could you leave for a while? At this point, the grass seemed to vaguely understand the situation and awkwardly and confusedly replied, On a magnificent mountain peak. The grass murmured while hugging a leg, the master has other women, why didn't I know? He's really keeping her in the master's cave. But I've never seen anyone go up the mountain. Suddenly, a voice came from a distance, wait, her aura feels familiar. She's really the grass from the heavenly land. Take it slow, many people call her heavenly land grass, didn't Chang'an also take form like you? The grass looked up, her spiritual energy was strong, and her output was no worse than mine. No wonder the master took a liking to her. Heaven has eyes, after all the bitter cultivation to become an immortal, we finally have a sister. She's so precious, yet the ancestor actually let her go out. Doesn't that mean? The grass stood under those malicious gazes, facing the terrifying smiles, and was so scared she nearly collapsed. What are they doing? Suddenly, the prison chicken took out a fishing rod. This is a new fishing rod I prepared for you. Everyone was congratulating. Welcome to join the Immortal Mountains Bitter Cultivation Team. Chang'an stepped forward to explain to the grass. This is our tradition, every time a new member joins, we add chopsticks and need to pray. Don't worry, with Fong Liang here, there won't be any more joining the Air Force. She still has a beginner protection period. The grass spoke in a somewhat flustered tone. But does the master no longer need me? Chang'an said, how could that be? You're the treasure by master's side. She replied, then why was I kicked out? Ken Kai replied, don't worry, the master will let you return. Let's go fishing. Tiandong also chimed in. Miss should have a name. Calling you heaven and earth grass sounds strange. Under everyone's expectations. She said, oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Wudao Sword, please take care of me. Upon hearing this name, everyone was stunned. Still call it heaven and earth grass. Don't tell me it's a name master gave you. The glaring sunlight shone on the cliffside. In Hanju's cave, Hanju was concerned about Hong Quan, asking if she had suffered any grievances from being out for so long. It seems like you've never used puppets. You're massaging her shoulders, Hu Xian replied. No grievances, but I did meet a lot of demon cultivators who wanted to take me as their disciple. On the stone table were 5 tokens. You see, she's really lucky. The aura on these tokens is all from integration. Stage demon cultivators. Also, disciples of the 5 sects of demon Tao. She hasn't offended them, has she? Hong Quan angrily said, husband, why would I fear integration stage cultivators? You smiled and replied, of course, you should. They have strong backgrounds. If a fight really breaks out, I'll kill him, Master will come to help, and then I'll have to find a way to kill Master. It's so troublesome. She sighed, that does make some sense. Hanju then said, the outside world isn't very peaceful recently. It's better if you don't go out. You were massaging her legs when Hong Quan continued, she's already at the nascent soul stage, her lifespan should be close to 1,000 years. With such a long lifespan, just stay by my side and diligently cultivate. After hearing this, her eyes reddened and her heartbeat quickened. Hong Quan leaned against you. All right, I will fully obey my husband. Suddenly remembering something, she said, by the way, before I came back, I found this in the dilapidated sacrificial room. After speaking, Hong Quan fumbled between 2 pomelos, the process wasn't easy, and she had to dig 3 feet of earth. Hey, wait a minute. Let me dig for a while. Hanju helplessly said, are there really no bags for jewelry in this world? Suddenly, Hong Quan took out a piece of jade and asked, what about this, husband, do you like it? You widened your eyes in surprise, you actually managed to dig it out. Holding the jade, it was about the same size as the previous spirit stones. How can it be a stone that blocks divine consciousness? Hanju frowned. The outer layer has rune seals. Wait, this layer of pink crystals is a protective shield made by a human. I really want to see what's hidden inside. After speaking, you recited an incantation. The jade emitted light, illuminating the surroundings. Hanju was stunned. The power of divine consciousness was uncontrolled. You seemed to enter an illusion, not just that, but also the memories of the original owner. A huge door appeared in front of Hanju. The light beyond the door was blinding, and you blurted out, "Is this an immortal realm?" Upon a closer look, you noticed two characters carved on the door, Heaven's Court. Hanju worriedly said, "Heaven's Court, remember, it was this force that killed the black prison chicken." In the distance, a huge dark shadow was approaching you. It was a monster, and the height of the mountains barely reached its knees. It had 4 blood-red eyes, which sharply contrasted with its black body, and horns sprouted from its head, stretching outward. Hanju exclaimed. "My God, what kind of monster is this? It's even taller than the sky." Wait, there are many people in the sky. Some flags were raised high in the sky. Hanju thought, the emperor personally led the expedition, with celestial soldiers and horses standing on the clouds. A shadow stood at a high place, seeming to be their leader. Seeing the crowd surround them, the monster began gathering fireballs in its mouth. The leader raised a hand, pointing with a finger, and said, "The heavenly sword Tao, 3. Sword opens the great wilderness." Just that phrase, and the monster grew larger than the clouds, its body exploding. After witnessing this move, Hanju's divine sense increased. Seeing him in a daze, Hong Quan waved her hand in front of Hanju. Husband, are you okay? What do you think of this stone, is it useful?" He woke up and said, "Not bad, the background is not simple, it's a good treasure. I don't know whose memory it is. Perhaps that person is already gone." Hong Quan happily said, "I'm glad you like it, then we." Upon hearing this, Hanju became like a fossil. He handed her a pair of smelly shoes. "The demonic path is rampant outside, keep these 9-star treading spirit flowers." Hong Quan said, somewhat sadly, "Is there really no foot odor?" He stiffly walked out of the cave entrance. "This is a good thing. If I encounter a crisis alone in the future, I'll have the ability to escape. And it's almost time, I have to go out and teach the disciples the sword techniques." She walked over and licked his ear. "Husband, I don't want these shoes, I only want you. Let's go teach the sword techniques first." Hong Quan threw Hanju onto the bed, making the bed creak loudly. She held his hand and pressed it on him, and Hanju screamed in terror, "Don't get too carried away, let me go, I still need to cultivate." Hong Quan answered, "Don't rush, last year I learned 6 birds play at a certain marquee mansion. I've wanted to research it with you." Hanju panicked, "You're pressing on my lungs, I can't breathe." Hanju let out a soundless scream in the cave. "Wait, let's put on clothes first." So this was the truth behind the original realm's tremor. The grass was fishing, and upon hearing Hanju's scream, she turned around. Such a loud noise, what happened to the master? The nearby prison chicken calmly said, "It looks like the master is about to be eaten again." She anxiously asked, "What, eaten?" The grass immediately rushed over, but was stopped by the prison chicken. I said, "Are you acting like a tiger? It's not the kind of eating you think, don't ruin the master's good fortune." She helplessly looked up at the prison chicken's hand, tears in her eyes. "What does that mean?" Her cheeks turned slightly red, and she spoke with a mischievous tone. "Don't worry, you'll know later." Time passed, and a month later, Hong Quan walked out with a cheerful face. The tribulation stage was indeed different, she was much stronger than before. The prison chicken beside her said, "Mistress, take it slow, it rained in the morning, the road is a little slippery, be careful." She replied, "Little Black is so obedient." The grass nervously said, "She has the master's aura on her, could it be the master?" She immediately ran into the cave. "If something happens to the master, I won't spare you." Seeing the scene inside the cave, the grass couldn't help but shed tears. Hanju's smile and weary face were hidden beneath his long hair. The girl shouted. Master. In front of the grass, Hanju's emaciated body was sitting in meditation. Hanju trembled as he raised his hand, showing helplessness. Hanju's face withered like a ghost. The grass beside him handed him clothes and asked with concern, Master, are you all right? Were you injured? He picked up the clothes, and his body was like skin wrapped around bones. Injured? What injury? The girl replied, the black-eyed chicken said you were eaten by the woman who left earlier. Hanju suddenly turned his head and trembled, saying, this matter. He raised his hand and pinched the grass's face, scolding, Woman? That's your mistress, don't forget she's the one who brought you here. Do you want to forget your benefactor? The girl said with grievance, so she's the mistress. Hanju then said, now that you know, go and cultivate. The grass replied, yes, master. The girl ran out of the cave like smoke. Hanju angrily thought, it seems Little Black is talking nonsense again, I'll find a chance to fight him. Saying this, he activated the system. The system panel displayed several lines of information. Friend Ma Fuchio was sealed in a forbidden area by friend Shen Shurshur. Friend Chaos Celestial Dog met friend Suchi's disciple and brought bad luck. Because it's a luck divine beast, eliminating bad luck, friend Kianaiha met friend Suchi's disciple and brought evil luck, demonic nature rapidly increased. Friend Huang Zuantian was attacked by fellow disciples, adding 10 more years. Friendly Chioma was attacked by demonic cultivators, damage reached. Friend Xian Qingjun returned to the human world. Friend Zhou Fan reincarnated and began to cultivate past life memories. After reading the information, he clicked his tongue. These two brothers, Ma Fuchio and Zhou Fan, one is completely sealed, the other reincarnated and recultivated. Hanju focused on the system panel. The one who's sealed doesn't know when he will see the light again, and the reincarnated one doesn't know when he'll meet this pair of brothers again. He frowned, forget it, personal matters can wait, the current crisis is the most important. The Demon Emperor's forces will eventually sweep across Dian, I must hurry up and cultivate. If I can't defeat the Demon Emperor in one strike, it'll be troublesome. Hanju began to cultivate, absorbing the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, the most difficult part of cultivation. He had to ensure he could kill an enemy with a single strike. Outside the cave, a figure was gazing at the setting sun. It was Chang'an, his mouth slightly drooping, as if in deep thought. The prison chicken beside him asked, Chang'an, didn't you catch any fish today? Are you in a bad mood? Chang'an replied, it's nothing, just sighing at the heavenly grass. Sigh, why do people fall in love, even a grass has feelings? The prison chicken replied, I understand now. I figured it out, that little Beauty has already left. 10 years ago, little Beauty went out for training with the sect's team and was attacked by monsters. When the sect's reinforcements arrived at the battlefield, all that was left was a pile of bones and flesh. Li Qingzi, knowing of Zun Chang'an's past, specially came to inform him. After that, Zun Chang'an spent most of his time in a daze, only practicing and fishing. Upon hearing this, Chang'an clenched his fists and cried, don't mention her again. The prison chicken patted his shoulder, don't think about it anymore, focus on your cultivation. Walking with me isn't bad either, after all, she never liked you, it's time to sever that bond. When you ascend, I'll send you a fairy. Tiandong complained, Kai Gu, how many times do I have to say it? Stop poking at my heart. Has Chang'an been bullied by that stinky bird again? Rong Qi walked over and said, Kai Gu, let's have a match, junior brother, we'll team up. Hearing the voice, Fong Liang poked his head out. Fong Liang excitedly said, all right, senior brother, I've comprehended a new move today, you go first, I'll cooperate with you. Rong Qi replied, all right, I have a new idea too. Mo Rong Qi, I won't allow my master to be humiliated, even if it's from our own people. After saying this, the two erupted with their elemental power. The prison chicken nervously said, these two fools have new moves again, their breakthrough speed is so fast, they might surpass me soon. Looking at the tall trees, Mu Kai thought, if only there were another Chuzhou, then my strength would improve again. Let's see how these two silly boys dare to make trouble. He seemed to realize something, Right, how about temporarily leaving the area of the Fusong tree, and then calling Chudo after some time? That would work too. A while later, Dong Qi and Fong Liang lay on the ground, both with lumps on their heads. Today's battle result, Black Mu Kai's complete victory. 13 years had passed, in the Tianya Pavilion on the ancient Yuan continent. The ground was full of corpses, and the young master of the Tianya Pavilion had lost one of his hands, kneeling on the ground. A demon. Cultivator spoke, the pavilion master is not here, the bloodbath is going smoothly, give up resistance, you're the last one left. Surrounding Tianya Pavilion had been taken over by demon cultivators. Someone asked the young master of Tianya Pavilion, the demon emperor? Seeing your extraordinary talent, advises you to surrender and your life will be spared. He replied, it's fine, it's just me left. The demon cultivator answered, you've made a wise choice, join the demon path, the demon emperor will give you a glorious life. He replied, of course. Dream on, and with that, he self-destructed his dantian. He loudly shouted, sorry, father, I can no longer fulfill my filial duty, and his body seemed like it was about to explode, with veins bulging. The demon cultivator saw this scene and panicked, didn't expect to meet someone desperate. Damn, retreat quickly. In Tianya Pavilion, a huge explosion shook the surroundings. Dong Hijing's self-explosion destroyed Tianya Pavilion. The sect leader of Tianya Pavilion, upon receiving the news, cried out, my son, Tianya Pavilion. People around comforted him, old Hong, hang on, as long as the green hills remain, there's no fear of firewood. Your son is a man who has drawn many demon cultivators as his backers, you should be proud. At this point, Jioding spoke, the demon path has officially expanded, we cannot just sit and wait. The righteous path must unite and begin the counterattack. Everyone shouted in unison, we agree with the true immortal, Golden Jade Holy Sect as the leader, to declare war on the demon emperor. The true immortals of the demon path have already withdrawn from Dayan, we want to send the young disciples from our sect to Dayan for refuge, I hope you can approve. Jioding replied, yes, this jade pendant can open the spiritual array for teleportation, take it. People around loudly shouted, thank you, true immortal. He said, order all golden core and above elders and disciples to gather and formally declare war on the demon emperor. Everyone shouted in unison, understood. The great battle is imminent, I must visit Elder Godslayer to prepare for the war. True immortal, you've worked hard. On the mountaintop, looking at the vast sea and sky, Jioding asked Hanju, Elder Godslayer, I have something to trouble you with, could you come out and talk? Hanju asked back, true immortal Jioding, is there trouble in the sect? He replied, Elder Godslayer, the demon emperor has begun to declare war on the righteous path, the world is in chaos. You've been concerned about the demon emperor for a long time, I want to hear your opinion, should we fight or flee? Hanju's sharp eyes replied, my idea is simple, recruit people, develop peacefully. The Golden Jade Holy Sect is just a sect, it can't really be considered a holy land. In the face of this great calamity, our strength can't change the situation. Instead of being a shield, it's better to focus on cultivation. The nearby Di Chao clung to Hanju. Jioding thought to himself, you're hiding a beautiful woman, giving up Elder Godslayer who is our big shot, but better not ask, asking won't help. Hanju looked up and said, under this heaven and earth, what righteous holy land can still support us? Only the celestial immortal mansion can do something. The demon path, do we really have to intervene? He touched his chin and asked, true, but if the demon path attacks Dayan, I wonder what Elder Han's cultivation is now? Hanju replied, I'm still in the tribulation stage. Hearing the words still in, Jioding was speechless, can this be believed? I've never heard of a cultivator over 500 years old saying still in, are you trying to break through to the great ascension stage? Ridiculous, extremely ridiculous. Hanju said, let's go, even if we enter Dayan, I'll still be here. Now, he was at the 5th level of the tribulation stage. After saying that, he immediately left. Di Chao asked, Master, who was that old man? Hanju replied, impolite, he is the sect master of the Yuqing sacred sect. Upon hearing this, the little girl's eyes lit up and asked, Yuching Sacred Sept, can I go visit it? Hanju smiled and said, sure, just don't leave the sect's range. By the way, tell the black-eyed crane to make sure they don't leave the sect. Di Chao happily laughed, yes, master. Suddenly, a system notification popped up, and Hanju noticed the real-time updated system message. He seemed to have seen something that shocked him, and Hanju mumbled, over 50,000. In a restaurant, the black-eyed crane was pushed in by the chef to be slaughtered. The black-eyed crane shouted, isn't fishing enough? Why come to the street to play? 4 disciples stood nearby, watching and saying, fried chicken costs 79 yuan, too expensive. Watching the scene,